Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia.
All right, and we are live, and welcome to the last word. Excuse me, Defining Duke.
Flashpoint. What show are we on?
We're here at Defining Duke and Xbox podcast, episode number 277, and yeah, we have a special guest, man. But let's get the elephant out of the room. Clearly, my co-host. Shout out to Mr. Matty Plays, man. He definitely tried. This was definitely last minute. This was impromptu. He had some issues going on, you know what I'm saying, and in his travels and the internet situation. So he feels very bad. He really want, to make it, but he sends his love, and we will get back on point, the dynamic duo. But I got to bring y'all back to the original dynamic duo.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if they know this duo.
Yes,
they've seen me once, but they don't know that we were doing this before you were doing this.
Facts. Good friend to the realm. Obviously Iron Lord's podcast, my history, it starts off as a Destiny focused podcast. And I remember my first, at the time, Destiny Community Con before GCX.
Man, that thing's been through a few names.
Wow. Right. We've been through it. Right. And then to, meet this amazing gentleman who shared a lot of my gaming sensibilities. And I approached the question. I was like, man, you're very knowledgeable. Maybe we should do like a podcast or something, or work together with this game that was floundering at the time. that we love. So introduce yourself, sir. Who are you?
Hello, world. At least the world of, Last Stand Media and all of you guys out there in Defining Duke. Thank you guys for letting me crash the party. I even was talking to Maddie because I talk to Maddie quite a bit because we both review stuff as well. So I'm a content creator. I've had a YouTube channel for, I don't know if it's a decade yet, but it might be close. It's been a while. It might be almost coming up on a decade. So
what's the name of that channel? Who's this guy?
It's Ebontis. So it's Ebontis. It's like my username from college. It was unique. So it worked out that it was mine everywhere I went. So whatever platform I'm on, it's very simple to find me. But yeah, I was even, connected to Maddie because, well, I've known Cog since, Destiny 2. We did 310-ish episodes of The Last Word. That's pretty much on indefinite hiatus at this point. Sorry for if anybody's looking for that one. Because, man, there are still occasional comments on my videos and be like, when are you going to bring back The Last Word? I'm like, I try and tell them, I was like, honestly, it's just always the fact that it was turning into variety because Destiny just didn't have enough to talk about anymore. You did this. You also did Iron Lord's podcast. Travis, if you guys don't know Travis, I would be surprised if you're on the gaming internet.
Oh, they know Travis.
Everybody seems to want to crap on Travis.
Reviews, they know Travis.
Oh, man, do they ever. Oh. Yeah, so, and Travis Fire Team Chat kind of faded out for him. So I was like, hey, do you want to join us? And I don't even know. I swear he was on there for like half the show that we did. He was on there for a long time. And yeah, I covered Destiny specifically on my channel for a very long time and kind of picked a good moment to start venturing out and doing other things. It was kind of the year of like Diablo 4 and Starfield. So in the past like 3 or 4, keeping track of years is a bit rough, but somewhere in there, just doing more variety content, covering different games and having mixed variations of success. But it's been quite a journey, and honestly, just like getting to meet you through Destiny has been always cool to kind of see both of us like come up in the world of covering games to some extent. And, just thankful for anybody who ever watches a video, comments, says hello, and all of those things. So yeah, just kind of, happy to talk about games because I still live in that world pretty much on a daily basis.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for taking up the bat signal, answering the call. You know, as you said, you're a person that plays video games and you play a lot. And you beat, you review now, you're doing things. So it's cool to see your journey and it's good to reconnect. It's been a minute. So we gotta do some business first. You know, obviously early access for the show goes live on Thursdays over on patreon.com/laststandmedia and hits free feeds like Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and plenty more on Sunday. And furthermore, you can watch video version on Last Stand Media YouTube channel free later, but Patreons, you get it first. You'll get that hot off the presses. But we got some stuff we got to talk about. We got some starter questions and things like that. And what we usually do, start off with the
I've never listened to the show before. Lies. I listen to you guys all the time. So
what we usually do is you start off with this thing called Health is Wealth. So shout out to Nerfed Ninja. I like that name, Nerfed Ninja. Health is Wealth. We outside. Let's go. Dukes, big health as well. It's on my mind. The big homie Cog sharing so much about his journey and being proactive and talk about the hard things men need to address, while big homie Maddie is prioritizing a vacation and some mental health as well. Sometimes I think creators forget the need. They need, earn, and deserve those moments. Props to you both. Keep promoting the health as wealth and being vulnerable. You never know who you'll impact. Well, first off, Nerf Ninja, shout out to you. Thanks for that. I did get a lot of messages in referencing to my journey and prepping for the big C. That was something that was a concern in my family. Thankfully, knock on wood, we have passed our 3 mid-tier bosses. Nice. And we got that done. And, you know, I do have to update is I do have to come back in about 6 months, but it's more just diverticulitis related. They just saw some things. It's like, hey, we just want to make sure that's okay. You're not in pain and that kind of stuff and everything like that. And obviously shout out for Maddie taking the mental health as well. He rarely takes a vacation. But me and you've always talked health as well and stuff like that. Talk about, you know, what's going on with you, how you been feeling. Has things been a little crazy for you? Try to get back on track. I see you be sending me some gym stuff every now and then. So I'm like, all right, he's still outside.
I'm with you. You know, our joke when we went to, when the joke happened, Guardian Con, was Travis, fit guy, just smaller stature, because he runs all the time, so he's lean. And then there's Cog and I, and we like to lift the weights. So we're a little broader, a little wider. And there's always somebody bigger at the gym. There's always somebody leaner and healthier and fit. So there's all spectrums, but it's like Cog and I kind of show up and be like, yeah, we both have pretty good size arms. And like, I've got compliments over my calves before. I'm not great at taking compliments, but it is one of those. It's just like genetics that I will tell you. Genetics is a big factor in any and all of this too, but as I'm 42, so I'm going to be 43 this year in July. And you know, you hit your mid-30s, your 40s, the body's like, hey, we're not going to be as cool with all the crap you're throwing at us anymore. Got to be a little, you know, watching things, you know, go to the doctor, watch the blood pressure, all that type of stuff. So it's like, whatever you got for a family history, like my dad had prostate cancer. So he had his prostate removed. So that is one thing. It's like, hey, as soon as you can get the check, now it's done through like blood work, which my wife is jealous of, by the way, because there's no finger going anywhere. It's just blood work now. And she's like, really? One more thing for guys that they can just do with blood work. And yet women have these invasive exams. And I'm like, yeah, sorry. But I mean, no, I will also say it's like having been married to my wife for 13 years now.
Yeah. Shout out to 13 years. So cool.
Yeah. Like, it is one of those things you, as a guy, especially just like generic white dude going to a doctor's office, a lot of things that I don't consider. And then for my wife, just even going to a doctor's office once, and I was like, my wife and I know generally what's going on, and she went to do a doctor's appointment. I went with her once, and it was one of those where it's just like, yeah, it's like, are you pregnant or anything? It's like, why are you? That's no.
He's like, slow down, buddy. Slow down.
No, it's not even that. It's like, we decided on second date that, you know, we weren't having kids. We have 3 huskies. That's what we're doing. But it was more the leap without listening. I had never experienced that quite as much, or didn't even realize per se what that would look like. And that's kind of one of those things is you see it occasionally is advocating for yourself is kind of an important thing. Like doctors know a lot. Please, by all means, listen to them, because the whole WebMD thing is also a stupid version of I know more than they do. It's like most likely no, but there are better doctors and there are worse ones. Like now my wife sees a female primary. I go see her too. And she's straight to the point, chill, but like, and my ENT is the same way. Cause I've had like multiple sinus surgeries and stuff like that. It's like,
yeah, I remember I hit you up when I had my, when I had to do my, oh man, what am I forgetting at the what's the thing? I hit you up. It was prior to me
Deviated
doing
septum?
the CPAP. Deviated septum. Yeah. I got so many things going on. I forget that I lost track. Yeah, I hit you. I was like, yo, there's something they're telling me I got to do it. I will say it was probably one of the biggest things. I'm so happy I did because I used to struggle. I used to always have the block passage on one side and dealing with that nonsense all the time. So having that done before the CPAP just made my CPAP and my sleep experience so much better.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. And then lucky enough, like my wife, she was like physically active, like growing up, she did ballet and dance and stuff. Like she literally half majored in ballet and journalism. Don't ask me how that ended up where she is now in tech, but she is. She's awesome. So I love her.
Yes,
but
she is.
we lift together a lot. So I'm lucky enough to find somebody who actually enjoys working out, going to the gym. We did mud runs for a while. We actually did a lot of them. There was one year we did like 10 of them, but we did like off and on for quite a few. But lifting weights has been kind of one of those things that's a little less running and impactful, but still like building and up to that one. And I've got a couple friends that, you know, kind of do the nudge for weight. And they're like the two guys that I know that will kind of push each other occasionally. But the biggest thing is like even recently, it's like I had 3 goals that I wanted to hit. It was 225, so it's 2 plates, and it's 225 on bench, dead, and squat. Right. You've seen my legs.
Yes, this is
the ridiculous. Squat and the dead were easier to attain. I'm still working on the bench, but I'm getting closer actually.
And you were from people that run with the Dukes. He was this is a former kickboxer as well. He used to do instruction and stuff like that.
I did fitness kickboxing. I was not the leanest kickboxing instructor, but I did have a good kick. I was in better shape
for you.
Warang, yeah.
Warang.
So yeah, it's like I've done different things and stuff, but for lifting, it was like, so it's like, you know, I wanted the 225 just as kind of like this, it's 2 plates. It just kind of, it's nice to hit. And one of the things with squats is like, I was kind of working up in weight, but then I was like, I wasn't going as deep in the squat. And it's like, there's a balance. You can see some people, they go like almost 45. I'm like,
45. Yeah,
that's not a squat. Like, and the biggest thing is,
y'all know the term. Come on, just you can say it. You're allowed to say it in LSF. There's
I mean, if I'm gonna have language, I'll pick a better.
There's no language restriction here. You're not in the realm of the Lords. But ask the grass is what he wants to say, y'all.
Yeah, sure. But that's kind of. But the balance is like you don't have to go quite ask the grass. But it's like I wanted to work on depth on it. So it's like part of the thing I've learned about any and all of these things. I'm trying to like pull this all back full circle. Take the ego out of it. It's one of the biggest things you can do, whether it's health, going to the doctor, going to the dentist, going to the gym, doesn't matter. Like, so what did I do? I took my squats back down to like 155, which was like, my new PR for a squat is 310. So I got a good one. I got my 225. But like to build back up to that, I went down in weight, worked on slow, controlled depth, like 90s, like really getting parallel with the thighs. Nice. And it was like, take the ego out and be like, all right, lower the weight. And I cannot tell you is like, I worked as a fitness instructor. Not that I'm going to be the most knowledgeable person, but I feel like I'm decent at teaching. My YouTube channel would probably show that.
Yes.
And the biggest thing, the people who are the most receptive to feedback are the ones who don't have that much of an ego in a situation. A whole bunch of females in a kickboxing studio likely are going to listen. Because they're like, hey, I'm here to learn. I'm open. And then you've got a lot of the guys who come in just like whacking and I'm just waiting
how to do that.
I'm waiting for wrists just to like break and stuff like that. And I'm like, there's one hanging bag in the gym that like my wife and I go to our rec center for our city because it's actually a solid gym. There's some people and there's one guy, he's 60 and he could wallop me probably pretty good because you can tell he's done it before. But then there's some people hitting the bag. I'm like, I want to say something, but I try really hard never to say anything in the gym unless it's just like hello or whatever. But yeah, it's one of those. It's just like take the ego out of it and try and learn whatever it is you're approaching and just try and be better properly. Whether it's like, hey, something about blood pressure. Well, there's more to blood pressure than just like this drug or whatever. Maybe it's insulin response. That's something I'm diving into personally right now. Is like, hey, what's your diet like? How is your insulin response for those things? Like, and then there's different ways where you can factor that in when you eat, how much you eat, protein intake, there's so much more knowledge that we have these days than somebody who, even like my parents growing up, like they tried their best, but it's like, we just have a lot more information now.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And there's just a lot of it out there to look for. But the biggest thing is if you're not open to it, doesn't help anybody. So
absolutely.
That's for me. So
well said,
there's
brother.
mine.
No, well said. Well said. Ego, all that stuff is pertinent. It's vital, and I'm glad you're still sticking with it, man. As we get both of us get up in our advanced age,
Seriously. Yeah,
we
things
do,
don't
we do.
recover quite as quick, and you're like, oh. Like
Exactly.
you were there. Yeah, shout out to all the DIYers, by the way. I did a flooring install in my house, so it's about 900 square feet of. It was somebody's going to know what this means. Glued down, engineered hardwood to a concrete slab. Engineered hardwood flooring is made of like layers, so when you're trying to pry it up off the floor that it's glued down to, it shatters and splinters and goes all over the place. So
Yes.
it's one of those that's like, when I was working on that stuff, I absolutely kicked my body's butt. That was the time when also I got to be like, hey, I'm not going to work out for a little while. I tried to do both and I didn't. So it's just one of those. So
I feel you,
Yeah.
man. You're the man. You're the man. Yeah, that's your next channel. DIY.
the
That's for
DIY.
you.
No. There's too many people that are way too good at that. That's kind of thing is like when you and Maddie sit here and do a podcast, it's always like you can tell the rapport's there
Mhm.
and you can watch some DIY channels that like it's charismatic and it's comfortable. And then you can tell the other ones and you're like, thanks for some information, but it's a lot easier to watch the other one. You guys just have a smooth show. I've listened to you guys enough, like for so many of your shows, it's smooth. And I think that's why your audience keeps coming back. So
Appreciate you. That's why it's my bro, man. Appreciate you, man.
Defining Duke is sponsored by Prize Picks, where playoff season is just a little more interesting. Learn more on the Prize Picks app today and use the code Defining Duke when you sign up. Greetings and salutations, it's me, Colin, owner and proprietor of Last Stand Media and occasional ad reader here on Defining Duke. I've crossed the DMZ from Sacred Symbols this week to talk a bit about Prize Picks, an interesting way for my fellow sports enthusiasts out there to play their cross-sport fantasy game that beckons participants to pick more or less of a particular stat attached to a specific player for an upcoming game. By picking up to 6 players within or across any applicable sport, you churn through an ever-changing roster of players and predictions that spice up an otherwise ordinary evening of games. And since it's playoff season in both my beloved hockey and in NBA basketball, you can make an especially dynamic team of real players playing in high-stakes best-of-7 series, all the while you wonder if someone will score more or less than, say, 21 points or have a save percentage higher or lower than, say, 920. What's most interesting about Prize Picks, though, is that players can interact with it using varying stakes that raise or lower one's floor and ceiling, with offerings like Flex Play, which allows you to miss a pick and still win, or Power Play, if you're feeling exceptionally confident in your choices. Available in all 50 states and touching on a wide variety of sports from popular to niche, and even esports and beyond, Prize Picks is a great way for responsible players to heighten their sports viewing experience. And if you pick live squares during the ongoing NBA playoffs, you could win a trip for 2 to the NBA Finals. Pretty nice. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code Defining Duke. That's DEFININGDUKE to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Defining Duke to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, a preferred partner of the NBA.
So we got some things to talk about, right? We got some games. We done got the Helter's Wealth out. We done, educated them and stuff like that. But we got some stuff to talk about. But actually, these are warm-up questions before because these are people who really wanted to say some things. And shout out to John Hankey, man. He said, "Hey, Dukes, hope you had a great vacation, Maddie." Well, as you can see, he's still on it. But he said, "Have you seen the gameplay trailer of Agefield High Rock to School? It looks heavily inspired by Bully and those old 90s, 2000 teen movies. If Rockstar isn't going to make another Bully, I'm glad someone is trying to pick up the slack. As a fan of the old American Pie movies, I thought the trailer looked pretty legit. The character models could use some work, but I'm hoping for the best. Wanted to get it on your radar if you haven't seen it. Happy NHL and NBA playoffs and NFL draft week." Yes, NFL draft week. And by the way, for all those who've written about the New York Mets, I will not be discussing that until Maddie comes back. We are on mourning for the 12-game losing streak. It's all Niners. I have E with me. We're Niner fans right now, and this is what we do. We're getting ready for our draft. So when Maddie comes back, we can heal together on the Mets. But back to what the homie was saying in reference to John Hankey. Have you seen this Agefield High thing?
I looked it up before we started. It does look like Bully Light is the best way to probably describe it, just by like a brief look. But it does feel like there's enough of a request out there from a lot of people who are like, hey, is it Bully? Is it Bully? Is it Bully? And it's like, it's weird now because I feel like people who are making Bully now like have some nostalgia to those times, but I feel like it would be really hard to make a modern bully because it would be referencing so many different things because you've got like internet bullying and all that type of stuff. So this is like for the developers who are probably of age to make a game, this one probably makes sense for them. But for a younger audience, I don't know how applicable it's going to be because, you know, I never got bullied on Instagram or something like that. And probably it's like, it's, you know, 10 times worse for women on like the apps and stuff like that and social media and kids. And there's so much to that. So it's like that would be a very different game if it was modern. But a throwback to that one, I looked at it, you know, American Pie movies, they have their legit jokes in them. And I've watched a few of those too. One is classic. Yeah, it looked like it has a shot, and you got the school games. I'm going to be learning German in the middle. I was cracking up. I was like, okay, I kind of see what we're doing here. So it's nice to see somebody trying to take it up. I agree with that.
I agree. It's a genre that, like I said, it is missed. But you made a fantastic point in reference to like, how do you bring that genre forward in today's time with the things of social climate and bullying and stuff like that? But shout out to the team. And I was very impressed. So shout out to, like I said, John, for putting me onto this. I did not know about H-Field High. It looks really, really good. They got mine, and I was laughing throughout it. So we'll see what happens, man.
There was one line with the mom walks in her room. I was like, oh my God. Like, yeah. So no, the American Pie kind of reference in there made sense as soon as I watched it and then read this. So yeah, you're spot on.
No doubt. We got one more. We got Guillermo. He said, hello, Dukes. Question for Cog. Have you checked out the new Transformers Cross NFL collab yet? With your love for Transformers and the Niners, that Gold Rush Transformer was made for you. Have it just went out and brought a Series X after selling mine.
Why would you do that?
A couple of years, behave yourself, because Forza Horizon 6 is not coming day and date to PlayStation, and that Forza Horizon grip is just too strong type of day.
Patience really is a virtue. So
listen, man, Guillermo, he can't wait. But as far as his question in reference to the Transformers NFL collab, I did see it. I gotta be honest though, I don't know if you checked them out.
I almost bought my wife the Cowboys one just as like a little like kind of stocking stuffer because my wife is a Cowboys fan. So we live in a kind of a split house on that one.
That's a lot of violence in that house.
Yeah, you and me, 49ers, which who would have ever guessed? You, me, and Travis, all 49ers
I know,
fans,
49ers fans
living across the United States, all same sports, same NFL team.
Bang, 90 gang, let's go.
Seriously. No, I might have to get one. That's actually pretty legit.
Yeah, it's cool. To your question, Guillermo, I like the idea of it. Obviously, I'm a big Transformers. I just recently been working on my collection, my Studio Series 86 movie collection, and I'm a big combiners guy. I'm the one that the robots merge into one thing, transform into Devastator or transform into Brutal. So once they were doing the cartoon accurate versions of Studio Series 86, the movie, I lost my mind. That's a dream from me as a kid. So I started posting some stuff up on X, and people were like, yo, I didn't know you were a collector and stuff like that. So just those specific ones are kind of like the ones that I go for. Now, as far as this, yes, for, collector purpose, I'll do it. But I got to be honest, I didn't felt the Niner one looked as good as the other ones for whatever. I don't know if it's the tone.
They'll look kind of the same. I thought it was all right, but
I don't know. It felt like the Dallas one and the other ones was hitting harder. I don't know. It's just me. I was just like, I'm going to get it. Don't get me wrong.
Maybe some colors just look better on Transformers.
I think so. But that's what I got right there. So yeah, man, we got that going on. But now we got to get into some major news. A lot of stuff happening.
What?
Yes.
News in the world of gaming?
Yeah. So here we go. Jason Ronald. He's outside. Shuts down third-party Helix console rumors. So on X, someone referenced leaker Kepler L2 to infer that the next generation Xbox Helix would be a third-party machine like the Asus ROG Ally X, and suggesting that it's disappointing that it would be less custom and console specific than past console releases. Jason Ronald emphatically responds on X and says, Project Helix will be available as a first-party Xbox console. Also, Kepler L2 speculated that when it comes to backward compatibility, only first-party Xbox systems will be able to use the actual Xbox back compatibility due to licenses issue. So any third-party Helix systems could be a less robust version of the Project Helix console. So yeah, I think this was a point of discussion that people had whether or not it would be just kind of like an OEM device, a third-party device. But it looks like Jason Ronald, head of Xbox Experience and Ecosystem, had responded socially publicly to say that it is a first-party console. Your thoughts, sir?
For their sake, I'm glad to hear that it is. If they truly went down the route of outsourcing it to an MSI or an Asus or any of the other brands to say, hey, we're going to basically slap Xbox and a PC brand on a box and it's going to be some kind of split of both, you really would feel like they're kind of working their way from the console market per se, really kind of making it like a PC that you can buy that still has that, like, the operating system they're working on, because that's what's on the Xbox ROG LAX. And man, what a mouthful every time I say that. Sometimes
a lot.
Yeah, but it is nice to hear if there's going to be at minimum a first party version. If there are other ones that they do, maybe they have this would be an interesting one. I wonder if they do a standard spec model, not saying it's like an S, but it's like their spec. And then maybe if you want a beefier version, maybe they've outsourced to maybe an MSI or an Asus or a Gigabyte or one of those other brands. And they're like, hey, if you want the premium version, you could maybe do it that way. And then it's got a bit more, maybe it's got a different case on it. Cause like Asus, I think actually makes their own cases. This is why I'm using them as a reference. Mm-hmm. But it's just like, maybe this is more active cooling. We can crank things. I mean, I've bought graphics cards for years and years and years. You've got your NVIDIA one, which is usually still engineered extremely well. Hence why the consoles are these weird little boxes and everything, because they have their custom engineering for their cooling solutions. Most PCs, big box with a bunch of fans shoving air through it. That's usually what they do. Same thing with like PC parts, is like a GPU from NVIDIA, very tight and confined. My 5090 that I was lucky enough to get is from NVIDIA. It's
I like
two
how
slots.
You casually just flexed this 5090, but continue.
I do this for a living, so you got to go for it at some point. But it's like, it's just about 2 slots, which is ridiculous for the power that it has, because any of the other like other brands, they're going to be 3.5, 4. They're massive, so they just take up so much more space. So the engineering that goes into a first party is always really cool to see. So at minimum, if there's going to be one, even if there are others, which they sound like there may still be, at a minimum that there's the first party one, it does make that one really kind of refined mass scale version that you can kind of base a lot of things off of. So that alone is kind of cool to hear. And I'll just kind of be curious what the specs are.
Yeah, no, well said. I agree. I think for me, it's just like when it came to Jason Ronald, he's rarely what I would say a person who is outside on social media in terms of responding. Especially responding to individuals directly. So I thought that the fact that he got in front of that is actually a big deal. And I'll be honest, the concerns in the Xbox community was more so, obviously we were happy that Helix got announced. They're going to make a console. Okay, great, right? They did allude that it would be premium, but these were questions after, coming off the ROG Xbox LAX, like, hey, is this the future where it's the Xbox experience, tacked on top of a PC, as opposed to, one of the frustrations with the ROG Ally that I have is that, okay, I can't play my digital Xbox library unless it's a play anywhere game. So that created that confusion. In fairness to the people who were skeptic, they're like, hey, will it be able to play my Xbox games? And then, obviously them getting in front of the backward compatibility thing, obviously since GDC and, his comments there. So this is extremely refreshing to me. I'm excited the fact that they have actually narrowed that down and, without any questions, this is the first party machine. To your point, it still doesn't preclude the fact that there may be, third party machines that are maybe more powerful or different SKUs that may be allowed. But the understanding seems to be that those machines won't have backward compatibility in this way that the first party machine, which is selfishly what I care about.
I mean, they could literally do that on a hardware level too, or it's a specific chip, almost like a hardware check for like motherboards, the same thing, just a check to say, hey, this is official. You get the backwards compatibility. I will say though, if you like are looking at here's an Xbox and here's an Xbox, this one's more powerful, but it doesn't do backwards compatibility. That does bring a bit of frustration to somebody though, to say this one can run it better, but this one can do the backwards compatibility, but they're basically the same damn thing. So if there are third-party ones, I could see people being frustrated just as well, because I want the one that runs it faster. But if I want all the functionality, why is this going to exist? So if it is going to be a first-party box, now as I'm thinking through this as we talk, that does make me wonder why you would do any third-party box, because if it doesn't have all the same functionality of a first-party, maybe there's not going to be one. And then in that case, it is truly just going to be a console, which still might feel like a PC depending on what they do with it. But like, if it's not going to have the same functionality, you probably don't want to be calling it the same thing either.
No, it's a good point for the desire of the third party Helix device, right? Like you said, you know, for if someone wants that, you know, backward compatible game in their library, that is a detraction, you know, so for them. So that's a good point. And that definitely, I think, purposely makes them try to value their, you know, device a little bit more. But yeah, that's a good point for someone who wants the power, right? You know, and says, hey, I want to take it to the limit, but I also want this. That's something, I
want the most powerful console. Well, it's not backwards compatible. Well, now I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. Why am I going to do this? Like,
right. But the other question that comes up is also, again, I don't know if this is confirmed, but there is talk of PC synergy, you know, if with the Xbox experience. Now that is a bridge they seem to flirt, but I don't know if they're going to cross, where it's like, hey, PC now, if you download the Xbox app or whatever it is there going to be that synergy in reverse, right? For your library, your account and stuff like that. And they haven't really gotten in front of it. But again, these are all valid questions, you know, that you mentioned. So
I mean, you just kind of start digging the hole deeper and deeper to trying to figure out what really is going to be a thing. Because if you have an Xbox experience and you're an Xbox user, or you have certain library things unlocked or whatever, does that PC experience have the same backwards compatibility, or does it not? Like, you just open a kind of a big can of worms depending on what features are allowed in what places. If I would say Xbox is truly trying to expand their audience, whether they do it on PC because they are Microsoft and Windows and that's everywhere, or they're trying to do it in console and be like, we're the most powerful console, at least right now, whenever that comes out. All of those things can be a factor. But if you don't have it the same kind of across the board, I feel like they're not the uniformity across the board, I feel like they're just putting up roadblocks that would be unnecessary. So it's just going to be all speculation right now. We don't know what's going on. These things are probably a couple years away or more. I would guess. I still think it's going to be like 28 at the earliest on these things. So
yeah, we'll see. The rumors keep churning. So yeah, we'll see. But definitely unprecedented territory. Mm-hmm. And we've never seen this like hybrid / console thing before. So a lot of questions still remain. But I just like the fact that they got in front of the first.
Yeah, no, it's good to say it. It kind of clears up some stuff.
No doubt. All right. Starfield PS5 numbers are in. And shout out to Circana, you know what I'm saying? Initially, Matt Piscatella, he said Starfield was the best-selling video game of the week that tracked the dollar sales in physical and digital for the week ending April 11th. And it was the first time Starfield had led the weekly U.S. best-selling titles chart since the week ending September 2nd, 2023. This month, obviously, was second was MLB The Show. And then, that week was second to MLB The Show, and then third was Black Ops 7. Now, Linear Analytics, shout out to them, had also gave some additional context as far as Starfield sales, 140K on PS5, and he says his estimates, Reese, this is the homie Reese, shout out to him. Our estimates show PS5 version generated $7.7 million in gross revenue via 140K copies sold in 1 week. Decent numbers for many ports, but suggesting not fantastic for the biggest Bethesda RPG in a decade. A 2.5-year delay of Xbox ports to PS5 may seriously limit sales versus going multi-platform at launch, or even 6 months after. And then he kind of discusses whether or not, the Forza Horizon 5 port being an outlier that did well. Then he talks about the Steam effect. And then we do got some latest news as of today. Shout out to Matt Piscatella again with Circana, and they had the list of the games for the month. And noticeably missing was Starfield. Starfield was not on that list as far as, games for the month, as far as what sold and stuff like that. So it looks like for the month, remember we talked about that week earlier, but the month now has come out. MLB The Show, number 1. Resident Evil Requiem still up in there, number 2.
When did that launch? End of this is for March through.
Yeah,
it came out like at February 29th or something. Yeah. So that's why it basically just got rolling.
Exactly, got rolled in, right? And then third, WWE, and fourth, a bunch,
marathon action.
Little marathon action, you know what I'm saying?
I played more of that than I honestly thought I would have.
That's what we're going to talk about. And then five was Pokemon, Pokopia. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I'm afraid to start that game after talking to Maddie.
Yeah, Maddie's he's heavy with it right now. So yeah, so just for extra context, as far as like I said, it had a good start for the week.
And now had a week, it didn't have a month.
Right. So what are we thinking about? You know, Starfield, its performance on PS5, and then also kind of what Elite Analytics suggested in reference to how did they go about with exclusivity moving forward if potentially the juice is not worth the squeeze?
It's a toss-up because you have something like Forza Horizon 5, gangbusters on PlayStation. No question about it. Absolute massive sales. Everybody seemed to make money in that whole project. Sony made some. Xbox made tons. All good. Then you have something like this. I don't know what the development lift is to put something like this on PlayStation, depending on if it's a lottery level. They said if it's 7.7 million, did it cost that in-dev resources to make this port? I don't know. But I would probably say the bigger thing is I couldn't remember if it was a Maddie video or a podcast for you guys when he's sitting there talking about whatever their next expansion is going to be. And a part of me wanted to just like tap the screen and go, you think there's going to be another expansion for this game?
Yes, actually, I got about it. As for when I was
if there is, I'm surprised.
But when I was at the preview event, just for context, Tim Lamb, the question was asked and people were like, hey, do you guys look at this as a conclusion of wrapping up Starfield? You know, and they said, no, we plan to support it, which surprised a lot of us. We thought, okay, this is it. You did your cleanup, so to speak. And then now you're going to do Elder Scrolls and Fallout. So for the record, according as of now, it could change, but as of now, Tim Lamb did say that they plan on making more Starfield content.
That's just one of those. It's like, you know, the blip that they get out of an expansion. It's, you know, probably fine. Maybe they have bigger numbers in different places, but it is kind of one of those questions for you're going more for the exclusivity. That seems to be the big giant question on everybody's mind right now with Asha Sharma coming in, changing things up, which we'll talk about another change. He's kind of rolling pretty quick. Is exclusivity on the table? And honestly, for them, there's too many it's like trying to solve an equation with like 4 different variables. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to solve an equation, you're only supposed to have one variable. But if it's like, is the console going to be more a PC, or is it actually truly just going to be a console specific piece of hardware? Is exclusivity going to be a thing? Is Game Pass going to be in there? How much of a factor is this? Like, if you have too many moving parts from the outside, we don't have a freaking clue. So it's a lot of guessing. As for exclusivity for them, I feel like overall, I don't feel like they are in a position where exclusivity helps them. Sony is in a position because they, being a market leader, does give them that benefit of the doubt. And whether it's marketing, whether it's exclusivity, whether it's just something like Wolverine, which is just going to be there, they have the position because, you know, they picked the right generation to win the digital library and all the wonderful fill quotes. They have the position for it. Xbox trying to broaden an audience, I don't think gets a lot of wins out of cutting off players. To me, like, I mean, that's like,
this is good because this is your perception. Because in fairness to you, you're looking for a person that's really plays in PC as your primary.
Yeah, mostly PC. Yeah,
and then, PlayStation is your secondary. Is that fair?
I got a PS5 Pro sitting down there too, and I sold my Xbox because I have a PC. So that was kind of why I have my setup. I get all my games right there, and there's nothing that I miss. Is there a reason why right now, if they're trying to broaden just their reach to say, hey, Elder Scrolls 6, are you really going to tell me that Elder Scrolls 6 is not going to go to a PlayStation? Timing wise, that's an interesting piece of marketing, but it also depends. Again, this is like the 3 variables. What is the environment for their new console? Is this thing amazing to use? Is the OS like fantastic? And then when people are debating on Project Helix or a PS6, is Project Helix looking good because it's maybe an open environment, basically runs like a PC. It's got, you know, Steam connections. Is there enough there that pulls people next generation? You know, how many exclusives does the PlayStation have at that time too? That's kind of another factor, is like, as they shift away from like your Final Fantasy 7s, which you're a huge fan and you even waited for, but if they're not doing as many of those, then it may not even be a factor. And then at that point, if PlayStation maybe fades away from it, or maybe is going back because they're pulling a little bit away from PC, but it doesn't feel like for me it would be a win for them to go exclusive for much new, because they're trying to get their games in as many hands as possible, and being in the lower population position of console specifically. I don't know where that gets them a W, I guess, is my question.
No, I get it. These are valid points. A lot of people are saying similar things. I guess, in reference to back to where we were going with Starfield, it is an interesting question, because if the numbers are in and they're soft, right?
Yeah.
And we don't see it trending, obviously 1 week is 1 week, but according to, linear analytics, if it's 140K, we don't know how, like you said perfectly, we don't know how much the investment was and the lift was, right? But we are assuming, right, that, hey, probably more lift than that, maybe was that kind of that return that they may like. And then it comes down to, if you look at all the exclusives that gone over in a vacuum, right? How many of them, if we just put them on a spreadsheet and there's a number, right? And Forza Horizon is the big one, right? You're like, okay, Forza Horizon 5, that makes sense. We did well, continue to port. But then if you look at the rest of the games, you know what I'm saying? Gears Reloaded, just a bunch of stuff that went over Vowed,
South of Midnight,
Outer Worlds 2, Hellblade 2. Like, how did those perform? And we're starting to get some indicators that usually when companies are quiet, they tend to generally indicate that, sometimes it's soft.
No, like Crimson Desert 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 million. Like, they're out here every week. They're out here saying something.
When you put the numbers out, you beating your chest from the high heavens. 1 million sold in 2 days. Dudes are outside, right?
Yeah.
We know that. So it does beg the question, and we will get into this later, how they look at it. Is it, again, worth the squeeze? Or to your point, is your Pandora's box already open, and it's just, maybe it's case by case. And we're going to get into it, because there's a lot of stuff.
Also, for Starfield is a weird example, because a Bethesda RPG should draw a lot of attention. Starfield had big numbers at launch, fell off, as every single player game is going to do, but the reviews weren't like, this is the next coming of Elder Scrolls, whatever. It didn't have the same, oh my God, I want this game feeling that the previous Bethesda games potentially have done. It's not like, this is New Vegas 2. I love that it didn't have that draw. Some people liked it. Some people mixed on it. My review score, literally while I was playing, was like 7, 6, 8, 7. Like, I was all over the place, from game breaking bugs and animations that I couldn't stand to really cool exploration and other things. Like, it was all over the place for me. It wasn't this consistently awesome thing. Forza, fantastic the entire time. Yeah. So, to no surprise, you put a 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10 game on another console, it is a fantastic experience for them too. And that word of mouth is already out there to say, hey, Forza popped up. Man, I heard that was good a few years ago. Hell yeah, let's do that. Starfield pops up. Yeah, I didn't hear that. It's a different vibe, I think. And that's kind of the thing on some of these. And that's not just, and this is, we'll talk about this later when we'll talk about what I'm playing, because some of the games I've reviewed recently, I have like very split thoughts on. And something like South of Midnight is an example of that. When I played through, music, soundtrack, holy crap. Like, dude, that was so unique, so special. Like, you're getting emotions in there, and the animation was freaking awesome. The gameplay, very rudimentary, simple stuff, kind of going through. And then I didn't even get to finish it. And you guys were saying the ending didn't quite deliver and stuff. So it was like, I kind of fell off of that one. So it's like, when you port something over like a South of Midnight, I don't know how much it costs on any of these ports. That's something we'll never know. But when you go for a port, but not all the variables are the same, like, is this a small lift? And be like, hey, if we make something over here, cool. Was Starfield not that much of a lift?
Right.
Probably not, because it's already still been crashing PS5. So I don't think I've not heard the best, and that's probably not helping them either. Is that type of stuff. So I think it depends on the quality of the game you get in the first place. Like, what is that review hype cycle noise? How does that come out and be like, hey, 9 out of 10s, cool. Well, we don't have it right now. Well, if that comes later, that memory still at some point fires and says, that was still pretty cool. Maybe I'll do it. If you have a 6 or 7 or something like that in that middle range, that's like, it's a good game, but it's not like amazing. And then that port happens. They're like, well, maybe my money's probably going somewhere else this time. It's not this stellar experience. So it's like, not all things are going to be equal all the time. To say that, does this make their decision for all ports? There's no way. But does Forza make the decision for all ports? Probably not either.
Yeah, it's a good discussion. Live service, multiplayer, and also in the other factor in terms of the delayed staggered release versus being near at the same time, right?
The timing's the other piece.
The timing is a big thing too. So yeah, there's a lot of fact. We're going to learn a lot, man. But this is good information I look at to see, and I'm just trying to, because we don't know what they're going to do. We're just trying to see how they figure out how they navigate. But we will keep this in mind. But we got some early indicators. So we're going to move on. And we got the homie. We actually
outside. They even have their opinion on Starfield. So.
Yeah, they outside. They you see them. They feel very strongly. So we want to get to Asha. She's back outside again. So Asha Sharma wants to chat with Shawn Layden.
Man, they would probably have can I be a fly on a wall?
For that
please?
One. Yeah, for that one would be interesting. So yeah.
There's another fly on a wall conversation from news this week, but I'll talk about that 2 bullet points down.
Absolutely. So Shawn Layden, looks like this conversation came from LinkedIn, I believe. And
looks like it, yeah.
Right. So I'm assuming the conversation, to give proper context to the audience, I'm assuming he is responding to something in reference to Game Pass. And on record, Shawn Layden has been very not an advocate for Game Pass. He's been very anti-Game Pass, in fairness to him. So this is his statement. They are trying so hard to will this into health, despite unfavorable diagnostics and a grim prognosis. A clarifying post-mortem would do the entire industry some good.
Yeah.
Strong statement. Asha Sharma randomly responds to him at Shawn Layden. I would love to chat sometimes.
Yeah.
What do you get from this?
Honestly, if those two could have a serious discussion, that would be very interesting because you've got an outsider's perspective coming from PlayStation, not a fan. She's sitting here in a new position as CEO, looking at every single column of the financial spreadsheet, figuring out what makes sense and what doesn't. And you've got different people saying over here, it's like some people are like, Game Pass hasn't ever made sense. Then on the other side, you've got some people like best value in gaming. They seem to say it makes sense. Somewhere there's something that doesn't add up. One piece of that, like, it's like, are you lying or are you lying? Who's lying? So it's like, we don't have a clue. But I will say, like, from watching what, there are speculation, little rumors, things talking out there is like, what's the thing about Xbox? They don't spend money on there. They wait for it to go to Game Pass, that kind of thing. It's like, what has that done to your player base? What is their spending habits? Those types of things. So when you say a post-mortem, the whole world would love to know is like, have you broken the industry with Game Pass? Have you made it a great deal? On the other side, though, is like, as a company, do they have enough proof to say, hey, this is a really good thing? Have they had stellar game after game and years and all this? People would question that they haven't. But on the other side, there's a lot of people who have been gamers who have loved the value that has been there and seen something that is actually like gamer first as opposed to company first. Because for them, maybe they weren't making money on it. Maybe as a way for them to do that. Now you can see with some of the stuff we'll talk about later that they have choices of what may or may not make sense to go in there. The idea of it's not bad. Also, everybody, I think you, me, and everybody's tired of 20 subscriptions. So, at some point, we've seen it kind of have issues all over the place, prices going up and stuff like that. But for me, on Game Pass, it's always been one of those, it's like,
where you at?
I can always speculate in my head to say this doesn't make sense financially for them. As a gamer, if I can get like a few games, the price has changed that obviously as time's gone on. But I was like, there was a point where you're like Game Pass on PC. I was like, I can get 2 games and probably like forget about this and still be good. Like there were times where that made perfect sense for me. But
I'm glad you said that because I keep forgetting about the Game Pass PC experience for you. That literally is your ecosystem.
Yeah.
And so there were times when you're like, okay, this makes sense, because I was going to get these games anyway, and you would forgo your magical Steam launcher. Yeah, like
sadly, generally no. More often than not, as a creator, thankfully, I've been able to get a lot of games. Anyway, so thank you for all the PR people who help us creators out. Believe me, we don't do much without you guys. I will say that. They work their tail off, but it's one of those that we're like, thank you. So it's like, it's a great deal for those who would use it. Give a kid an Xbox Series S, have an adult have Game Pass on it when it was getting started. They have a backlog of games. My first Nintendo 8-bit, because mine was 8-bit. My first one was like, they rented a Mario Golf game. That is all I had. If you were like, here's Series S as your first video game system with Xbox, Game Pass, and you can play all this stuff.
Bro.
That's a crazy experience that I never had.
Bro, could you imagine as a kid having that?
No.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even know what to do. I would be jealous of that kid.
So
we had that one game and you had to play it backwards, forwards. You bought it off the box art and you hoped it was good. And then if it was bad, you were stuck. Like there was nothing you could do because either parents or financial situation didn't call for it. But to your point, like, it's interesting to see what kids would go through now with this, level of, this plethora of access. But yeah, continue. I'm sorry.
So yeah, it's like there are things there, but as like you see something like a Call of Duty come with Activision, which is the whole. Everybody wants to know what happened with the Activision finance. Everybody wants to know that one, but it's just like. That's why he said exactly what he said. And he said it so poignantly, is like a clarifying postmortem would do the entire industry good. Has this been beneficial? Was it doing okay until Activision came in? Did Activision change? Like the profit needs this magical 30% number that's floating out there now. Where did it make sense? Was there a threshold you were going for when it was like, hey, if we get to 50 million, this breaks even. 25 million is not a lot. It sounds like you're printing a lot of money, but when you have this many studios now that you got to pay the bills for, what happened, because at some point it probably was looking financially like it would make sense. And then there was a point where that probably changed. Yeah. Hence the price hikes and other things that happened. So that's why, we will never see that. But if there's like a secret room where the high ups meet at GDC and then they have a PowerPoint presentation between all the top dogs, that would be the fly on the wall meeting, because that would be one of those like, hey, there were things that worked, things that didn't. But yeah, that's the meeting that doesn't ever exist.
Yeah, this is interesting to me because Shawn Layden has been outside. He's been a very vocal proponent against Game Pass since its inception. I will give him that. He has been consistent, a little extra as far as I'm concerned. But hey, that's his position. I guess for me, like you said earlier, like. There's two ways to look at it. And one is the straight business aspect of it, how it affects developers, how does it affect the bottom line? I get that.
How does it affect consumers is the other piece of that puzzle, is the third one, I think.
Absolutely. And where I'm going with this is that, from a consumer standpoint, you do, train your users. It is fair to say to train your users to say, hey, I might wait for that. I've done it where it's just like, game comes out and because Game Pass was at its peak doing what it's doing, I'm like, yeah, maybe in 2 or 3 months that'll come. And a lot of times I get proven right. And I was mad that I may have bought something out of an impulse buy when it eventually came to it. So it does have the ability to train users to say, okay, let's wait. I guess the thing that I'm curious about is that for Asha, was it 90 days on the job, right?
Oh, yeah, not long.
Not long, wherever it is, right?
Not for that size of a company,
right?
No.
And for her to insert herself and say, I would like to have a chat with you. That is extra to me. I'm sorry. That is not.
I don't think there's any problem with that.
Yeah, no, it's not that there's a problem with it, but it shows a level of feist, in my opinion, because.
Oh, I don't read it that way at all.
Let me break it down. Let me break it down where I'm coming from. Past regime would never respond to Shawn Layden. Past regime would let him go off. The detractors would say what they would say about, is it not good for the business? Yada, 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 right? Asha as a CEO, especially her being new and still learning, this is very interesting to insert herself into his timeline and be like, oh yeah, I'd like to chat sometime. That is extra to me. I look at it as not that she's going to be disrespectful to him or whatever, but it is a little bit of a challenge to say, I want to know why you're thinking what you're thinking, and let's have a conversation. That's different energy from past Xbox from my perspective.
So I guess the phrasing would be, it's like the way I'm reading you saying extra is not the way I would say a different energy. I think honestly it's smart. I don't think it's like stepping outside or, being extra, like the way I'm kind of interpreting the way you're saying the word, at least contextually, to say, I would love to have a chat sometime. If she's just willing to be a sponge right now, which is what she should be doing, which sounds like she's trying to do, minus what kind of probably has to be in motion going on around her, just to sponge up information. If you're trying to be a CEO of the Xbox brand, Microsoft Gaming, whatever you're going to call it, for as long as she can have the job for a while, getting more information from outside sources is not a bad way to get more information, whether it is Shawn Layden or whether it's Shuhei Yoshida or whether it's Reggie Fils-Aimé. Like, if you can talk to any of these people who have massive industry knowledge and sit there and learn something from them, if she says that and somehow Shawn opens the little DMs and is like, do you actually want to talk? Like, just seriously, it's like, love to have dinner sometime and chat. That would be a productive conversation on both ends to learn, to see, to figure out what could be said. And that's why I was like, honestly, it's like, I think that's smart, in my opinion. I don't think that's extra. I think that's just like wise to say, if somebody is willing to have a discussion and you're at the level she is, if I can learn something from somebody who's been at this place,
right,
then I feel like if that opens a door that may actually get a yes out of a dinner meeting or something, hell yes, by all means do that. So that's why I was like, I don't see a problem
from a knowledge standpoint, but where I would push back is that she is not beholden to him. That is something you say to, in the corporate world, to someone that is could potentially be a stakeholder or
not always
your user base. So again, what I'm trying to say is he is removed from the major PlayStation ecosystem. And again, he is a luminary. I'm not being disrespectful. What I'm trying to say is she doesn't owe him a response, right? And to publicly do it is also a different thing. You could have that conversation behind closed doors. You could DM him or whatever. To me, it's a small statement to publicly jump on his timeline to insert yourself when you are brand new at a job yourself. That's all I'm saying. It's a little bit of feist.
We just read this in a different way.
We just read it different. But that's how I look at it.
I was like, for me, if I was like, pick an industry and put yourself in it and be like, hey, somebody who was doing that a long time ago says, hey, I would love a clarifying postmortem. I would love to hear about that. And just somebody come in a new 90 days and be like, like she could literally have to be building a postmortem for Satya right now.
Could be.
And what if that be like, okay, so let me get another perspective on this. And it could be honestly something just as curious. So that's just where I think it's just a difference of perspective.
Yeah, we just
to say is like, and that's just whether you're playing the corporate game or whether you're trying to be curious or whether you're trying to poke an old PlayStation person. I think that's just perspective where you see it from.
Because the reason why, because I rarely see other CEOs say that publicly to other CEOs, like, hey, Google, let's have a discussion about the way you hate the business, our business, or why. Like, he's literally, we have to be honest, like that is an inflammatory statement saying that they need to put it to bed. Like, literally his statement can be construed as,
I know his is for sure.
Exactly. So it's rare, right, to do this publicly. Usually this kind of stuff would be behind closed doors. That's all I'm trying to say. That part is a little different.
But I was going to say, but also on the other side of this, wouldn't this be the idea of you have new leadership now at Microsoft? We're trying to do things differently.
Oh, for sure.
Let me go see what somebody has to say. I don't have to listen to it. I don't have to take any of that stuff back.
That's fair.
And I think that's the point where it's like, maybe I learned one nugget of information from this entire meeting or dinner or chat. And if she's smart enough to like extract that one thing that she can come back and be like, hey, for Game Pass, it's like, we can work on these things and this. What about this other one? If one thing is learned from that meeting for her at her level, making those massive long-term strategic decisions, nothing lost.
No, that's why for me,
that's why for me, the public piece is just more like, I'm open. Like,
you have to admit, though, I feel you, but you have to admit you have never seen it. Show me another example where this has happened between CEOs.
But that's a different generation, though, too.
Yeah, but you got to give me an example. That's what I'm trying to give me a tangible example where it's come before when someone's happened. That's all I'm saying.
No, do you know how old Asha Sharma is?
I don't now. I forget. I don't know.
She strikes me from a picture as like
she looks. I'm going to assume, but we could go.
I don't know if she's in her 30s, right. But like, I mean, even my generation to who I reported to when I had more of a corporate job, that's just a different generation of how you do things. And if she's even a step below where you and I are, that's just a difference of like, what did I say at the very beginning about taking the ego out of it? What if she is truly just like, sup?
No, for sure. So
it's like, I mean, so that's just kind of where my interpretation is. We don't have to talk this thing in circles, but that's why I see it that way, is like, if she is able to say, hey, I did this awesome stuff with like her position to get where she is, but also it's like, there's, somebody who's got a really opinionated piece about it. I'd still wouldn't be nothing wrong of going to dinner. So it's just one of those where
nothing wrong with it. The only difference we have is publicly. You don't have to do that publicly. That's the only difference.
But the way she said it was so like, I would love
it's respectful.
It's
respectful.
Plain
it's
and
respectful,
simple.
But
that's why I don't
it's
see
respectful with purpose. Hey, we'll just leave it.
Yeah, we don't need to beat a dead horse. Sorry, everybody.
This is what
Tog and I haven't talked in a while. Tog and I haven't talked in a while.
This is an Ebontis incognito, nice little fun discussion.
But anyway, let us know what you think in the comments, because you guys.
Yes.
Also, by the way, if you guys don't like me in the comments, please let me know. I'm actually serious on this. If you make it this far in the episode and you're like, I cannot stand listening to this guy talk, I'm always open to feedback. I also know I ramble.
Look at you doing I like that. You did the Asha. Let's talk. Let's chat.
See? Right here. And look, it's public.
You publicly do. I like that. I like that. That's a full circle moment. Good
Thanks,
stuff.
Asha. I'll take a page out of your book.
Good stuff. All right, we get to the next one.
You're welcome.
We're off to a flying start. Major Nelson. Larry Herb. Does he want to go back to Xbox? What's going on here, man? So apparently there's a link going on. Xbox is hiring for a senior manager, Xbox brand and reputation. And then Mr. Larry Herb responds on socials. He says, I think I know someone who would be perfect for that role. So, E, what do you think? A major mainstay from the Xbox community from the OG days, kind of shooting this shot to kind of get back in the mix.
Do you know why the separation happened originally?
I do not. You know what's funny? It is it's really been, at least from my perspective, closed door information. I was surprised to see Major Nelson go. I will say this is what I know. What I do know is after his departure, I did a PAX East maybe not that long ago. He was with Midwest Games for a little bit. And I said, okay, these are pretty much developers really trying to get independent games out in that specific region. Because, like a lot of the games are always like LA, that kind of thing. They're trying to spread that influence. So he was there, but then he left there and then he was with Unity for a little bit.
Oh, that's right.
But I think then I don't know if that, as far as
they've had their ups and downs.
Yeah, then the policy, exactly. Yeah. So what I would say is, since then, I haven't heard any updates on, where he is from, an employment standpoint, but I have seen him go to Xbox events. I think I've seen him take a couple pictures with executives and leadership, and he seems to be angling to want to come back. So how do you internalize this? What do you think with the Major Nelson's comments?
Depending on how things went down before, you never know if certain people needed to get out of the way for him to have a chance to come back. Recent changes have obviously changed who's there. Maybe he's like, he and Matt Booty got along, but maybe things didn't work out on the other side. Now that they're not there, maybe this is a chance at that. Honestly, unless you know how the departure happened, you don't know why the request would be coming back. If it's just something he's been around the block and is like, hey, I have more that I can offer to this big of a company after seeing these different sides of Unity and smaller publishers and those things, it could be a good fit and it could be something that's there. But also, I don't know what the history was. I feel like it doesn't hurt anything if he's got something to bring to the table. So I honestly, when it comes to those types of situations where you're senior manager, Xbox brand and reputation, that's a whole, you never know who's cast in a role or hired for a certain position. That's way higher up than me. But as like, it feels like he would fit if he went back, but if they didn't take him, you could obviously see that they have something else in mind. So I honestly, not one way or the other, probably on that one for me. I'm not as tied to him either as somebody I followed as much, but for Xbox, obviously, face of it for a while. So it's kind of a thing that, would you like to see him back? Or are you trying to be like, I'm kind of want to see what fresh blood can do? Where are you at on this?
It's a good question. Obviously growing up in the Xbox ecosystem, Major Nelson was a major staple. Like it became every public facing event, messaging, communication, marketing. He seemed to wear multiple hats, and it was just year after year after year. One thing about Major Nelson, I'll give this: when the camera goes on, it's professionalism. So he really knows how to bring it. So I was surprised when his initial departure. Again, I don't know the details. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I could just assume, layoffs, and then sometimes, when you're I don't want to go there, but I'll just say sometimes it's a change of direction in terms of new regimes and who, where they want to go. Right. And then also we got to be honest, the elephant in the room is when you're like a lifer from a corporate standpoint, salaries.
Oh yeah, I was going to say
off.
the tallest head gets cut off first. Yeah,
exactly. So I don't know if it's that. Again, I don't want to speculate. I just, make definitive statements is what I want to say. But speculating, I'm just saying, hey, maybe that could be it. But it is interesting to me. There are examples in the Xbox ecosystem where I consider people who are lifers to the brand, and sometimes they just don't come back. Like I put Cliffy B in that example, right? Where it's just like, this is a person who really had a lot of tread and traction with the Gears franchise and stuff we'll get into. And then it's like, you'll see them like, hey, I'm interested. Hey, if you want to consult me, I'm available. And then there's no follow-up. So again, I'm only going to assume that they seem to have some direction change, but I'm pulling for him. If he wants the role, and, and this new regime feels that there's a good fit for him, then by all means, you know what I'm saying? Give him a shot. But yeah, it is interesting. I thought that was, that he put that out publicly, he shot his shot, in reference to that, for that new role.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, all that right. One I defer more to you.
No doubt. All right. We got some big ones. This one was very big. Shout out to the festival at Alt Games. Shuhei Yoshida reveals for the first time that Jim Ryan fired him. Speaking at this Australian Games Festival, All Games, and I quote, "I helped Santa Monica make God of War, Naughty Dog make Uncharted, and The Last of Us and Sucker Punch to make the beautiful Ghost of Tsushima." He said, describing his work during the 2000s, "Ghost of Tsushima was one of the last games that I worked on as the president of Worldwide Studios. But in 2019, after 11 years leading the first-party development, I was fired from that role. Jim Ryan wanted to remove me from first party because I didn't listen to him," he said jovially, prompting laughter from the audience. "He asked to do some ridiculous things, and I said no." He continues, "Because I grew up with Jim from the PS1 days, you don't want to have one of your friends as one of your subordinates." Yoshida eventually left PlayStation in January 2025 after 31 years with the company, and now has formed his own indie game consulting firm, YOSP Incorporated. As he described it, he likes helping indie publishers and developers at Sony for the last 5 years. "So I feel like I'm continuing to do the same kind of thing, but now freelance." So this was big, E, because I think at the time we never got clarity as to why he's left. Shout out to Colin. I know he's had Shuhei on before and stuff like that. And I was shocked to actually now I don't know if there's some form of NDA up or anything like that. He is now outright
probably said, after this long,
that Jim Ryan did fire him, and because literally said he was asked to do ridiculous things and then said no. How do you internalize all this with now Shuhei kind of being transparent about what happened?
I mean, watching the train wreck that PlayStation has gone through for this generation with canceled live service after canceled live service, and watching Blue Point work on this thing here and then the live service games over. They wanted to go a very different direction. Shuhei seems to have a pretty good idea. Now, I also heard Shuhei was one of the eyes on Concord. So it's like, you're not going to have a perfect track record, and that's one of the biggest botches of all time. But when it comes to culture and, the company you work for, you look at Jim Ryan and look at Shuhei Yoshida, coming from two very different cultures also as well. One is kind of respecting your elders and stuff like that. The other one could be a bit more of what have you done for me lately? That's a lot more of the North American kind of like now type of situation. And maybe it was the point where it's like, hey, I want you to line up these 5 or 6 live service games. And he was like, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to plan for some of these long games. I want to make these like curated experiences. That's what we've had success with. That's how that board meeting could have gone. And finally it was just like, all right, you go handle the indie games. And that's what he did for a while. But if you're not going to get on board with this live service train, because that's where all the money is, we're going to have somebody else do it. And eventually it got to the point of, as you said, when you talked about seniority at a corporation, working there that long, finally it's like, hey, you're just kind of doing this indie management. We got somebody younger than you and cheaper than you that can do this. Might be finally time for them to do that. Now Jim Ryan's gone, Herman Holst isn't doing that great. And we've seen a change in leadership there as well, because no one's going to guess it right all the time. But Shuhei had a damn good record. And if you ever watch the things that Shuhei Yoshida will tweet about, he's got a damn good eye.
Oh my God, some of the things he tweets, I'm on his timeline all the time. Yeah.
If he will like promote something, it piques my interest, because
absolutely
he's got a good eye for like gameplays, whatever, retweeting the ones that you'd be like, oh yeah, this is a fantastic game. And he retweets them like, of course you did. Or of course you like that. It's like, that's an eye for games that are going to be fun, like are going to be enjoyed by gamers on any number of levels, but still just going to be enjoyed, as opposed to let me make the money. That was what the live service push was for Sony, and it failed. I typically lean more PlayStation between the two because I've enjoyed a lot of their single player games. The live service ones haven't done much for me. Obviously, most of them haven't come out. I played Marathon for a little while. Actually think it's a pretty good game too, but unfortunately for me not being a PvP guy, that one may not stick around that long. I played a lot of Destiny. Unfortunately, they overpaid for Bungie, so that also wasn't a smart decision. Way overpaid. And now I sit there watching like Bungie have Destiny 2 just that hurts the soul.
It's like the Godfather movie. Look what they did to my boy.
At least they're not waking up with a horse head next to him. So but also you see Marathon, a actual like for the people who it's for, it actually seems to be hitting pretty well. Unfortunately, that is a small niche. Not everybody's going to play all the time, and the numbers keep shrinking and shrinking. Like, I don't know what the console numbers are, but you just watch Steam and the trend line.
Yeah.
That's a thing. So it's like, is the live service push? And I think this is one of the things where it's like, when you got into live service mattered, and being the chaser of it is where you saw a lot of typical failure more often than not. You have your surprises like in Arc Raiders. And that one is, it's on a trend line, but they got a new map coming. So I know I'll jump back in for that. Dune had a really great trend line for like kind of a live service. Unfortunately, that's the situation where one person, I can promise you, was like, I want this to be PvP, hell or high water. And like 90% of the player base wanted it to be PvE. They finally are switching over to be PvE only as an option.
Oh, wow.
It's just too little too late, because if you logged out for weeks, your base would like basically deteriorate. So this like live service trend that if that's what Jim Ryan wanted and Shuhei was just like, no. And to him, if ridiculous things could be, I need you to manage these 6 live service games. That sounds like hell in a handbasket in the first place.
Yeah, I
and
can see why you might want to go back to go indies.
You're like, yeah, and that could truly be it. It's like, I need you to manage these 6 studios who are going to be working on 6 AAA live service games, and be like, my head's going to explode. Maybe I don't want to do that. You got a smaller thing I can work on over here. So that's the way, when I saw this pop up, that's the way I read it. It's like, you help make some good games. Nobody, like if he was part of Concord, nobody has a perfect record by any stretch. But overall for a trend, and if you watch him now, I still feel like he's got a pretty good eye. As I said, nobody has a batting average of 1,000. Obviously, for the baseball fans, you don't. But
and not the Mets.
It's all right. I live in Dallas, so the Rangers typically also not the best either.
Fair enough.
So like I usually every year I'll kind of I don't watch baseball that much, if ever. I've gone to games actually with really good seats, but yeah. If you guys ever see me looking to the left, by the way, I have 3 dogs over here that definitely are checking out my front.
Enzo, Midnight,
Midnight, and Sassy is their third.
Sassy, there we go.
Yeah, so they're barking at something right now. But
you good.
It's just that idea that if he didn't want to do what was presented to him and he thought that was ridiculous, that's a really big, clashing of ideals. And he's just like, nah, I've been here for a while. I probably made plenty of money. I'll be okay. So that's the way I read that.
Yeah, this is tough to read for me, man. I mean, when I think of PlayStation, there's certain names, and I remember when I spoke to Jaffe, was it Connie was one. I remember as a person who grew up, I really loved PlayStation 1, and I really loved Sony Japan and the games and all that stuff, all the cool, weird PlayStation stuff. And, Yoshida is just in that rarefied air for me. He is the essence of PlayStation on so many levels. And the track record is truly amazing. And one thing I remember specifically is, you see him, you're like, oh, this is a little nice, adorable guy. And he is. Don't get me wrong. I met him about 2 times. And nice. The thing about him, though, is when you're in the trenches, he will push back on things that don't make sense to him. And I remember one of the fateful stories with Corey Barlow. I got a chance to talk to him briefly. about, having to present the God of War, 2018 and him getting pushback from Yoshida, like, you're ruining the franchise if you guys don't fix this, and this. And it was a lot of pressure on him. Obviously, we saw the result, and it came through, and it became this amazing game. And, but I love to hear that from Yoshida, because you do realize that even though you think he's just a super nice guy, he's lovable, everything, he is about quality and an eye for great things. And to your point, yes, no one bats 1,000. There's always going to be a miss or a thing here and there. But I guess to have a luminary fired in that manner, and to him to say, Jim Ryan asked me to do ridiculous things, is a big indictment on Jim Ryan. And I'm fully convinced that, during his announcement when he stepped down because of travel, that to me alluded to a soft push out. A lot of times in corporate, they will never say, hey, we fired you at this stature. There's usually, I've decided to retire now because we want to make.
Yeah, that's corporate. Yeah.
From a public relations standpoint, nice, easy, transition of power. It doesn't get disrespectful. But clearly, I remember when Yoshida was, finally allowed to do podcasts and stuff like that, and obviously Colin had him on and stuff. And I remember he would say interesting things like during this era, hey guys, make sure you buy these remakes. If you don't buy these remakes, they won't be able to fund, the games you want. And I'm like, interesting, what I'm saying? Because I remember I used to get really frustrated, like, man, PlayStation, another remake again, Last of Us 5 remake. I'm just joking, but it was one of those things that I felt like he understood the inner workings as to why they were doing that. Yep. And I always looked at his stuff that maybe he didn't necessarily all the way sign off, but this is the first time him actually saying it. But look, I'm happy for him in the sense that he is now getting a chance to do what he wants to do. Like you said on socials, his independent game presence is awesome. He's always tweeting out some cool stuff, and the passion from him shows. He still wants to do it. So that's ultimately what I'm happy for him. But yeah, this was surprising to finally see him get out in front of it and say, no, I was fired and this guy was ridiculous. I was like, yo.
I mean, you look at Jim Ryan's track record and be like, it's like he did, finish up the PS4 and you got the PS5 launch, and the numbers on the PS5 are actually pretty solid in dealing with like the restrictions that happened during the pandemic. And like there were things that were done that it does take, a couple people around him, I'm sure as well, but it does take some things are right. But it's just game wise. For Jim Ryan, it's just like, you kind of took over what was winning, and we haven't seen crap in a while. And and that's what hurts as like a fan of like, you list the games as like, he wanted to make God of War and Uncharted and Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima. It's like, those are all like some of my favorites. And it's like, some people may think that like, Travis may give me a hard time about like in one thing here or the other, because maybe it's too like, this is a universal good game or whatever. But it's like, for me, I love the God of War. Those 2018 and Ragnarok, I think those two together are so good. But it's like a lot of those things, as you said, he had to pitch God of War in the first place to Yoshida, not Ryan.
Right.
And if Yoshida's the one that had the critiques but saw the vision, that's the thing that like, that's kind of the pieces. That's the vision. And that's kind of what sucks is when anybody of the Mount Rushmore level leaves the industry. It's like, man, dude, when Miyamoto retires, that's going to like hurt my soul.
That's generational knowledge, right? Think about that. Yeah, that's the other. That's the way it's never replaced again, and that's the part that's so sad, because this era with Jim Ryan to me was more about, again, not that it was the PlayStation console sold. Let's be clear, right? Yeah, but what I want to say is that, from people who love the brand, the decisions they were making to chase the trends, to overinvest into 10 live service games and tank companies and like, this is mismanagement on a very bad level. And to hear Yoshida kind of like thrown into the mix and thrown away during that, when we get some more information as the layers are peeling off, is kind of sad to see. But I'm with you. I'm with you on that, man. I definitely hear where you're coming from. Anyway, we got some news. I don't know if you got a chance to see this. Metro 2039 reveal. It was, I believe, an Xbox partner showcase. They had that, but I don't know if you got a chance to see it outside of it. I don't know if you're a fan of the Metro series, but I'll jump in. I did see it. The reveal looked amazing. Looked like a part cinematic, part gameplay. From a personal level, I think it hit for me because obviously the Ukrainian influence as far as from a studio standpoint. They were really outside in front on that that kind of presentation premiere of it, and how the game was crafted. They still want to make it a Metro game to its core, but they say, look, we are not going to shy away of how this game is created, and some of the themes, obviously what's going on in the real world climate, will have some bearing on it. But I thought it was a good showing. I'll be fully transparent. Never really played the Metro series before. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm some Metro guy, but some of the imagery that was used looked really cool. Guy having flashbacks, trying to determine what's reality, what's not, and then going down into the Metro, dealing with these crazy creatures. The game looked amazing. And for what they said, custom engine that they're utilizing, and it looks pretty amazing. Let's just see, hopefully the finished product get to that. But I thought it was a strong showing. But any interest in Metro 2039E?
Yeah, I mean, things like this are always experiences I want to try and make time for. It usually just depends on what the schedule is like. For me, Metro Exodus was the last one they did. Sorry for my voice going up about 12 octaves there. No, but Metro Exodus was actually, as a PC player, was like it was a ray tracing showcase. So the technical stuff that they're doing as well is definitely something worth following. So when you see this thing coming out, I'm like, oh, you're going to make my graphics card sweat. It's one of those because they will give you the option, like, scaling and stuff. I don't know how optimized per se, but they will definitely give you the option to make your computer want to cry. But they're going to try and push the fidelity with as much as you can throw at it. So if you have like best PC and a 59 and you're like, I got one of the best, be like, all right, we're going to see what it's made of. Can our game and your PC make magic?
Well, it's like that,
and sometimes it works. It's like some point it's probably not as bad as Crysis. I don't think it's that bad, but they are trying to push, they will have no doubt have path tracing, and that's the type of, I have no question that would be in there for this. So fidelity wise, and then you've got this, it's always it's the Metro, it's the Stalker, that world around, just anything from the fallout of Chernobyl and all of that. Did you watch the Chernobyl show, by the way?
Yo, I missed it. I know.
Well, no, but I will say, like, it's 5 episodes, which is the great thing about it. It's short. But if any of you guys out there have watched Stalker 2 or played Stalker 2, and it's just that connection to the Ukrainian studios and all of this fallout of stuff that goes wrong, if you want to watch an amazing miniseries to kind of tie into that stuff, absolutely. Like, I don't really want to spoil anything. Mm-hmm. The first episode is kind of a like a
your face says it all.
Holy shit.
It's one of those.
It's one of those. The first episode especially is just kind of, but all 5 episodes have moments in there that are just absolutely gut wrenching. Because nothing about that thing's a great experience, I'll promise you. But man, some of it it'll make your oof. Okay. But that's where all of that world kind of transpires out from, is all of the weird stuff that could come from that. And it's kind of cool to know. So it's one of those that if I can find the time when it comes out, for sure would love to play through it. Same thing with Stalker. I never got the time to. So I'm with you. It will be a graphical fidelity thing to watch, if nothing else.
No doubt. Right, we got some Mass Effect show updates. So Mass Effect showrunner denies the rewrite reports. This was a big thing. Me and Maddie talked about this. We had a rant for the ages on this one. It was fun. Mass Effect TV series co-showrunner Daniel Casey has stepped in to respond to a report that suggested the upcoming adaptation had undergone rewrites to be more appealing to non-gamers. So he comments, so I can't talk about the specifics of what I'm writing because he signed NDAs, but for whatever it's worth, the article by The Ankler caught me off guard just as much as you, Casey said. I don't know where that non-gaming audience's quote came from or who said it, but at no point has that been said to me. The writer's room is going strong, and we've got a lot figured out about how it fits within the Mass Effect canon and where it sits in respect to the new game. He said the show will explore a brand new story within the universe's timeline. It will be set after the original trilogy. It won't be a retread of Commander Shepard's story because, after all, that's your story, isn't it? So this was a big one, Ian. I don't know if you caught the initial thing where, the initial comment was like, hey, this is going to be a non-gamer thing. We're going to rewrite it. And, Daniel Casey's coming out and saying not that he's heard of. So what's your whole thought process on this stuff?
I mean, Mass Effect TV show has a lot riding on it because for so many RPG fans, you, Maddie, I mean, it's your game of all time. So there's no question that if they mess this up, you're like, oh, you're all fired. You suck. Like, you can't botch this one because it is iconic for what it did and what it's. So you have a universe that's there, though. The nice thing is the game is so deep. You have a lot to pick from. And yes, I'm glad they're not trying to do a Commander Shepard story because no. But the question will be is like, how do you tie it in? How do you, I'm trying to remember her name. Blue?
Liara?
Yeah.
I know the fact that I know that you said that.
I was like, no, I like Blue. There's not a lot of those.
We like our shadow.
I mean, but like you've got Liara and her story. You've got Miranda and her story. You've got. It's been a minute since I played them, and I don't have the same
romance options is coming up though.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't even run from it. He was like, yeah.
Of course.
When we ended the Reaper Evasion with, we ended that with.
Well, I only played 1 and 2. Still haven't played 3.
Oh, you gotta get 3 done. Okay, gotcha. But up to 1 and 2.
What is
which one?
The expansion with Liara? Is that the end of 2?
Yes, that's the Shadow Broker.
So I did that one, but nice. I probably also did Miranda.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Romance Miranda.
You're standing at that Seminole, that shot from a specific angle that they had to edit out in the.
I'm sure.
Yeah. I see what you was doing.
But it's like, but also like, the reason the relationships in those games worked is because you spent so much time talking to them, kind of resolving their problems, going through their conflicts and their quest lines and their stories. And also, it's why when you play those and you go play a Starfield one, it doesn't quite feel the same.
We gotta get this. Red and Starfield shot. Red, just red, bam! Oh,
but I was like, but I was like, for me, it like the romance in Mass Effect felt natural.
Facts.
It felt like the bond kind of was growing there, and when it takes that next step, because there's like flirting at first, it's like as an option, but it's like it never felt quite out of place.
Yeah, I will give you that. Because Mass Effect is like that and Baldur's Gate would be like the goats of romance.
Yeah, like I mean, and
you know what I gotta give credit though? I didn't play the latest Veilguard as much, but I will give Inquisition. I felt respected was one of the better romance games as the it's the Duke of Romance.
Duke of Romance, yes.
You know what I mean? I have different levels of affinity for how they try to attack this thing.
Oh, you can't see it because of my green screen.
Your background.
I have an Enzo staring at me right now.
Enzo's staring at me. I'll talk.
It's dinner time. No, I'll feed him here in a minute.
I saw ears. I saw husky ears. So I'm good. But to your point, I mean, just to jump in real quick and I'll give it back to you, was just that I really love the build up, the nuance, the attention to detail, things feeling more natural as opposed to, like you said, just flirt button and, saying kind of thing. So I get you on that. And to Mass Effect, back to full circle. Yes. One of the goats in terms of building relationships with characters and stuff like that. That felt earned.
Yeah. And I think that was why things in that game like the payoffs and stuff and everything had more weight to them. And that's the same thing. So I can understand why the freak out about like non-gamer writing. It's like, if you're going away from the detail and depth and like the time you spent with these characters and the relationships that were built to try and do like low attention span 2026 like TV show, it's just like, yeah, that's going to hurt my brain as a Mass Effect fan too. Like I can understand the outrage, but if that's also full of crap, and somebody's out here saying, no, we're putting as much time as we possibly can into all this stuff. Leave us alone. We're going to do our best. Like, then that's fine. I mean, can they pull it off? Obviously, no idea until you watch the thing. But, if they at least came out here and were like, yeah, you're all full of crap on that one. Sorry. Then, yeah, I'm fine with that. It means, one, that they're trying, and two, there's some effort into the writing, which is important because that's what made it what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, this gives me hope because me and Maddie went in, bro. We were like, when we heard that first initial
I didn't listen to that part yet. You guys must.
Bro, I was like, get out of here. Remember, I'm a survivor of the Halo TV series, which we will get into later. And I am about respecting the source material. You don't have to give me a 1-to-1, but you got to respect it and you got to do your due diligence. So when I heard about, appealing to non-gamers, I'm like, man.
Oh, you don't want another Master Cheeks out here? Oh, no, come on, bud.
I don't want Master Cheeks and the Lady Gaga human covenant. And no, I was so disgusted, bro. But I
haven't heard that one yet.
Oh yeah, I'll just spoil for some. Nobody gonna watch it anyway. But I'm just okay. But at the end of the day, to see one thing I do like, I do like the fact that they're going with a show as opposed to a movie, because I feel it gives more time to flesh it out, right? This is a big universe. You got so many cool alien races and the Krogans and the Sari and all the beloved stuff. So I love that aspect. And yes, there could be a chance.
Sorry. When you say a show, I am very happy it's a show, but it's also one of those where I'm like, I hope like some of these like Wheel of Time, which I haven't watched, or the Game of Thrones spinoffs or whatever, it's like I need them to commit to like multiple seasons before it gets started.
Okay.
Because the world you have to build in something like Mass Effect, it's going to be like Game of Thrones season 1, where you have to just like set stuff up for a whole season. It's going to take kind of that much time. Now, can you make stuff intriguing while you do that? Yes, with good writing and things. But this world is so big.
Oh, it's massive.
If you're trying to even remotely appeal to non-gamers, but still you have to like convincingly build a massive world, and it's hard to do both quickly. So I'm glad for the show. But like if this is 8 episodes like they do on some of these, yeah, you're going to need some seasons to build.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I agree with you. It always, to me, always comes down to how good it is, and then obviously that budget to get signed off for like a season 2, because you got to hit it. So they're under a lot of pressure, you know, and obviously the game is under a ton of pressure. Obviously a new Mass Effect game has to hit, you know, because if they could somehow in a perfect world align, that seems to be new synergy now, right? The transmedia push, which is you get the game and the movie kind of in conjunction. I see He-Man trying to do that. There's a couple other things that's all Invincible versus.
Hopes for that movie. Like some of these, I'm usually good on the action superhero stuff, but that trailer is.
You like it? Oh damn, the sigh. Oh, well, damn.
It's just like I don't know if I've seen enough, but I'm also just kind of going. I'm hopefully going to get surprised by the movie, because right now, just my expectations are low going in.
Okay, fair enough.
It's just what I'm seeing is like. I don't know a lot of what's
the
coming. The
modern
here.
Take version of it. Maybe is that throwing you off?
A little bit of both. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like kind of trying to do too much too fast versus any other way to take that. It seems like a weird take on the story. Okay. So I guess I'll just have to see. Like if they can deliver it, depends on how long time is spent. If you spend half the movie just in modern era and then you finally travel, then the sword finally shows up in the last 20 minutes, you're going to be like,
yeah, they got
one of those moments.
Aquaman's they're looking for him. From my understanding, also, you know, we got to hear that Skeletor voice. That's a big one. You know, shout out to my
Jared Leto of all things. The people are not always a fan of his movies. So
there is questions coming from the history, but you know, back on point. I'm with you with the Mass Effect thing, and then you know, just to round that up, like I said, I was just happy they're going that route. I'm happy that it looks like the showrunner is saying that is not the case. That, you know, from what he hears, so that is very promising. And that's all I can hope for at this point. All right. Pragmata. 1 million in 2 days. Big Capcom outside. How we feeling about this?
I'm not that far into it. I'm probably going to have a great time with this little 10, 12-hour experience or however long. I heard it's not that long, which is the other reason I wanted to dive in. Like 10, 15, probably depends on how much you like explore and stuff. But I mean, yes, I've told you guys about my PC, but it looks fantastic. Not surprising. But I can also already tell the little I mean, this is not long playtime. The dynamic between the two, like Diane and Hugh, I think are the two. Just, I think Fighting Cowboy actually, he's like, if you are a dad, this is going to hit you in the feels. So especially for the dads out there, well worth playing. But if you're not one of those people who's like, I can't feel emotions, I am like, as long
the two tough guys. The guys are a little too tough.
Yeah, I watched Project Hail Mary and I cry like 2 or 3 times. So yeah, as long as you're open to seeing some, I think you probably have a pretty good time from what I can tell. And so far, like I did just enough of kind of a couple of the experiences without going too deep into it. I think it's going to be a fun, quick playthrough. And if they can, this is one of those be like, I don't know how you do a sequel. And because I don't know where the story ends per se, because I haven't looked at spoilers because I've been trying to avoid them. But man, if they can have another IP, Capcom and we still got Onimusha coming.
Bro.
Dude.
Generational heater. Like it's good to the point. Like I'm dying for when we see Metacritic Publisher of the Year, right? When that comes out for 2026. And I mean, it's going to be hard to beat. If they land they land Omnimusha on time. And I saw Omnimusha early. You saw it recently too. And like, yeah, it looks very impressive. So just to jump in, because I don't really got too much to add to you, because obviously you guys are playing it. I haven't got a chance to play it yet. But I want to shout out Attic. I want to shout out King. They both played it. They both beat it. They rave about Pragmata. And to the point where King has it as his game of the year. King has it as over Resident Evil Requiem. Now, Attic has it Requiem, but one thing I know about Attic, he's very big. This is not a spoiler. He's very big. He rates a game experience, but also how you end your game matters to him also.
Yeah.
And he felt satisfied. And that's I was like, okay, coming from him, he's very critical. So I was like, okay, shout out to that. But yeah, this is cool to see. And I just like Capcom, what I consider, they're reimagining their classics, the Street Fighters, the Resident Evils, all the stuff, the Monster Hunters, and you're a big Monster Hunter guy, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like to see the classics at peak level operating. Then this is what I could see instead of
less wilds, more stories this time, but yes.
Yeah, in fact. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, this is what I considered weird Capcom with a budget. And this is like amazing for what people are saying. So salute to them, man. What a run. They just can't seem to be stopped right now. So.
I mean, this feels like the kind of, we were talking about Shuhei the same way. Somebody right now has an eye for what is going to be a cool game and what works. And whether it's the big ones, like how you reinvent a 9 with like the two play styles that counter each other and kind of balance everything perfectly well. Stories going gangbusters to make up for Wilds somehow, because Wilds did not do so good. But then you've got this out of left field that I swear damn near got canceled at one point or rebuilt from whatever it was.
Yeah, long time
to come
ago,
into this to be like an 87 or 86 or whatever it is Metacritic right now, that's just like, that's fantastic. And it's this like 10, and somebody was like, instead of a sad dad story, it's like a kind of happy dad story kind of thing, like a good relation, like a positive father-daughter thing. So it's like, I mean, somebody over there has an eye right now, and it's just like they are batting a really, not perfect, but they're batting a really good average right now. And I'm just happy to see a company that's putting out games that a lot of people are enjoying continues to have the success and financial success to keep doing it, because we all just want more of it right now. That's it.
Shout out to Capcom, and shout out to Capcom for also giving me Kunitsigami, Path to the Goddess, game that normally wouldn't even have been greenlit anywhere else. But the fact that they tried it and it ended up becoming one of my more unique, beautiful experiences. So I'm just so happy for them right now. Can't sing enough praises for Capcom. We got Omnimusha coming through too, man. So I'm excited.
I'm going to want to play that.
You already know. All right, more in the movie scene. Gears of War movie update. So it looks like the director, David Leitch, I believe it's pronounced, said he feels optimistic that the film's going to happen after months without an update for fans during a conversation with Collider. Gears of War, I think it's going to happen, he says. We have a great draft that's in progress, that's in really great shape. The studio is more determined than ever to make it. Netflix is 100% behind it, signaling that while much of the Gears of War movie has come together behind the scenes, there's still a real effort to bring it to movie fans. Meanwhile, he said that the series developer Coalition is very fired up as well. That team is currently hard at work on Gears of War E-Day, which is set to receive a dedicated direct presentation this June. Yep, they said 30 minutes. They have their game releasing this year as well. So it's all lining up that the movie will happen. So I'll jump in on this one. This is really promising to see. And I didn't know that this thing was still going on. I remember there was two ideas, a movie idea, and then there was an animated thing. So as far as I know, I haven't heard anything much from the animated thing, but I know they haven't canceled it. But I like the fact that they're going for it. I'm curious about the casting. I want to see where they go with that. So that's going to be interesting.
Always important.
But I do like the fact that he feels it's going well, that Coalition is excited about it. And if they're able to line it up, this is a big year for them. Obviously, we've got E-Day, which is going back to the grit and the grime, which I prefer as opposed to them kids. Give me the Marcus and the Dom experience. That's what I prefer. I would just like a little evolution on the formula. You know what I'm saying? Because, it's Gears and, we know what that is. But I would like for them to experiment like kind of what they did with Hive Busters, with classes. I think there's a lot of potential to really expand it, even though it's a prequel, so to speak. But if they're able to pull it off, what I'm excited about is probably the cross transmedia between E-Day, it may be a proximity of a movie if it works out in time. It still may be a while away, but I just like that things may be lining up for them. And I like the fact that Coalition is liking it because I want the involvement from the action studio and the source material. I would like that. That's what I would like, as opposed to other things that we would discuss. But any interest from E in the Gears of War movie?
I mean, of course. Any big action movie, like if you know me at all, I'm here to watch them all. So I'm usually here to check them out, good, bad, and otherwise. I've seen some cheesy ones, some bad movie or game remakes. I mean, speaking of Monster Hunter, yeah, that exists. But no, somebody like this, I kind of looked through his filmography. If you're wondering, Atomic Blonde, Deadpool 2, nice.
Okay,
Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, kind of a unique little spin. I had fun with that one. Bullet Train was hilarious. I don't know if you remember that with Brad Pitt. And then The Fall Guy was great.
All right, so the resume looking okay. We feeling good.
Yeah, I mean, decent enough resume and also handled pretty good amount of action. So if you're looking for somebody who's seen both that. Now, the one thing that's not really a little bit, but not really there is like the scale of a Gears of War.
Yeah.
Depending on if you want to deliver that on the scale of something like Space Marines backgrounds. I mean, you're going a little crazy there. But how much CGI? What's the budget? Netflix, on the other hand, too, is like, are you going to get this on a big screen or is it just going to be streaming? And that's kind of a debate of who's backing it and if you like seeing movies in big screens. But I mean, if there's a Gears of War that kind of gets me in, then yeah, because the only one I've really played is 5.
Oh,
and I will say,
intro. Okay.
Well, that was not the best intro.
Wow. Okay.
Pretty,
okay.
But like for a modern game, for that to be 5, I was like, all right. It's like, but that's everybody's probably screaming in their like screens and microphones right now. And like
your experience
and on the comments and keyboards and stuff like that. But it was like, for me, I didn't have the connection enough, which probably is the major piece of it. But it was just like, it was like cover-based combat and stuff like that. And I was playing, we played The Division that had cover-based combat and did it really well. And then I'm sitting here playing this and it felt clunkier in a way. And I was just kind of, there were visual aspects of Gears 5 when I'm like, okay, you can work an engine and visual graphics pretty damn well. But for me, just kind of in what was happening and stuff, it didn't connect to me as much. That was all. So, but I'm also not like 1, 2, 3, 4 multiplayer with the buddies and all that into the franchise. So weird jumping on point for me, but no, I absolutely will probably watch this.
No doubt. Not too much to add. We'll see what happens in the world of Gears of War. Speaking of more TV games and movies, Halo, back in the news again. Former Halo executive and Xbox Film TV lead has left Microsoft after 28 years. Kiki Wolfkill has left Microsoft. She spent almost 3 decades leading various initiatives across the Xbox platform, from art leadership to transmedia initiatives and video game production. So as far as my understanding, there were some ties to, she had the resume is like tremendous. Like it was a lot of things that she did prior. Also, for some fans, were the Paramount TV series. Again, I don't know how much that attributed to her reign, kind of thing, as far as like things that she had complete hands on. But this is, I'll read the article a little snippet from Windows Central that, after 28 years, she made a difficult decision. Friday was the last day where she had to grow up and learn invaluable lessons, how to listen, lead, being accountable, and more importantly, care deeply for who you serve, your team, and your audience. I'm so grateful to the opportunities that Microsoft has given me and the career that left me build in an industry. So she joined Microsoft Game Studios initially as an artist, directing art across franchises, including Mass Effect, Fable, Project Gotham Racing, Forza, and more. She served as an executive producer on Halo 4 and then led Halo's transmedia projects, including Halo Legends, Halo Forward into the Dawn, I remember Halo Nightfall, and contributed to growth across Microsoft's merchandising and product licensing agreement. So obviously her leaving now is interesting. And then also we do know a lot of, unfortunately, bad reporting that has been coming out of Halo Studios, not saying that this is related or anything like that, but we have to mention it, right, as far as what's going on. So I don't know what to think. Again, just looking
honestly,
from the outside.
it feels like after 3 decades, that's anybody's time just to leave. And honestly, if the environment is one iota of what you keep hearing in the rumors, probably a reasonable time to go.
Could
I mean,
be.
you've been somewhere for 30 years. You probably made a decent salary for 30 years doing okay, I would imagine.
Mhm.
And also, if you got a chance to, find a good time to step away when things may not be in the best, sounds like they could be just time to go from what I can read on the wall there.
Same. And then the only thing I will say, if, again, not trying to be disrespectful, because I'm always respectful for anybody in the industry who's contributed. However, I will be honest and to say that as someone who is not a fan of the Halo TV Paramount, and again,
Are there people who are fans of the Halo TV?
There are some that will tell me, like, "Cog, what are you talking about? It's great," and and some of the lore.
I didn't hear from a lot of those people online, so
I didn't hear from a lot of them either. But they seem to hit up my mentions in the comment sections and stuff. No, actually, some friends of mine that I know, not a lot. I will say the majority. If I had to put a percentage, probably about 70% of people was like, "Yeah, I'm good." And then, but there was a strong 30 that was fighting tooth and nail. There were Halo guys that were like fighting tooth and nail, like, "Nah, this is good." And
seems like a weird hill to die on.
Yeah, not the one that I choose to die on. No. So again, that was my main thing. And if she had something with that, I didn't like that part. But everything else, the history, wow. And if it's time to go, it's time to go. That's all I got really on that one. E, I'm very curious about you with this one. Elden Ring.
I won't be able to have much to say about an Elden Ring movie
until you'd be all over this.
I mean, I've looked at it and I've seen the announcements and the cast and stuff, but I mean, everybody gave Heath Ledger a hard time about being cast as the Joker, and he's one of my favorite villains of all time.
All right, so let's get into it real quickly. So Alex Garland's Elden Ring movie is landing in 2028, and it's being shot for IMAX. You like IMAX, E? The live-action adaptation.
I like big, noisy movies.
Exactly. Of the hit fantasy video game from A24, and Bandai Namco Entertainment is now in production with release details and a full cast announced. They got the cast out there for you.
Yes.
Are you excited? You're the Souls guy. This is what you do. You have first day ticket sales crash in the theater?
Of course I will be there with bells on, without a doubt. But here's the question. Can you actually do an Elden Ring game, which is like a nondescript story in a 100-hour game just as in a movie? I don't freaking know. If somebody came up with a concept and it works, I will be here to watch it 100%. I mean, Alex Garland did Annihilation, which is a weird movie, but a pretty favorable one. Ex Machina, definitely an interesting thought provoker. In Civil War, I watched Civil War in IMAX. Not Infinite, not like Marvel, just Civil War.
Civil War. Regular Civil War. Yeah, okay, gotcha. Okay.
It was Kirsten Dunst and
I was already with Ant-Man. I'm glad you corrected me.
No. I watched that in IMAX. That is an intense fucking movie. Holy shit. Like, I watched that in an IMAX theater, so I mean, the sound is just wall to wall in your face. There's one of the most tense scenes.
Oh, this got to feel you. When you get
basically,
she is side from E. You know what's up.
She is a war photographer.
Midnight definitely is about the war right now.
But she's a war photographer. They don't hold back on anything. And if you picture a weird civil war within the United States, yeah, it's a very intense movie. And like some of the I don't know, it's one of those that I was like, okay, damn. And he's a writer on that. So it's like, there's enough there that I'm just kind of like, he's done enough that I'm like, and I think his passion was actually also like heard about for it too.
Right.
That he like really, really, really wanted to do the Elden Ring movie, kind of like pitched it to Miyazaki kind of thing. So it was like, cast is one of those things like when they get there, cool, great. I'll see it when I see it. But I was like, as for just the fact that it's going to exist, absolutely all here for it. I just don't know if you can deliver.
Right.
That's going to be the question.
Yeah, that's going to be the question. Because again, it's such a unique genre from a narrative standpoint. So it's going to be curious to see what approach they take. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm curious as a gamer. I am curious. We'll see what happens. All right. And last bit of news before we get into what we're playing. Xbox has unveiled some controllers, Forza Horizon 6 controller and headset. I don't know if we got a chance to see it, E, but it is very colorful.
Yeah, they're very colorful and vibrant. If that's your thing, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's they're like teal and hot pink, and they're absolutely. I don't quite see cherry blossoms, which I feel like is a missed opportunity.
I agree.
But outside of that, I feel like it's just like it's a fun, vibrant one. And by all means, if that's your thing, that's one I haven't seen before. I'll give it that. It's unique.
Yeah, definitely unique. I'm very curious if they like focus tested this with Japanese audiences and this is what Japanese audiences like, or you know what I'm saying? I'm very curious about that. It is colorful as hell. I did see I believe it was the 8-bit dough in that article stand that matches the controller. I'm actually okay. It's funky, but I can get down with the controller being the what is it, like a turquoisey kind of thing. I'm kind of cool with that.
Triangles.
It's out there. It's noisy, but it's unique. I don't know about the headset though. I don't know about.
Again, if you like one, you're probably okay with the other.
But I don't know.
I mean, it's not for you.
No, definitely not for me. I'm not going to be caught anywhere.
I don't have a lot of judgment to pass on something that doesn't look like it's designed for me. And
yeah, for sure. Fine. But I will say that I like that because they did this with the Starfield wireless headset.
If they had somehow done like a Mount Fuji and a cherry blossoms, but also is that almost like culturally insensitive, a little too on the nose? Like, do you be like,
true,
this is just kind of fun, vibrant. You got some pinks, you got some teals. Is the other one like, okay, I don't need a picture of Japan. Like, right. Does that kind of take it too far the other direction? So I don't know.
You may have an exact point there because it could be, again, I look at it, maybe they did some focus testing and say, okay, this is, what people who are racing fans or people fans of Japan actually want. And maybe that's, again, we're not the target demographic. So, it is what it is. But yeah, I will say this. I did want to give credit to the team for, they did this with the Starfield wireless headset where it has a unique game sound on boot up and shutdown that is relative to the game. There's a sound in the game. And they do have some unique sounds with this headset that is Forza specific. And I always like when you get that little touch. Last time Xbox did something like that, I believe was the Xbox One S, the Gears console. When you booted it up, it had specific sounds. It was red. It looked cool. I like when they take that little extra effort to kind of personalize something to show an appreciation for the actual IP. I always think that stuff is kind of cool. So yeah, shout out to them for getting ahead of it. I love the advertising, Xbox. I saw you at Shibuya Crossing and Xbox ad in Shibuya. I was blown away. I couldn't believe it. I was like, advertising and marketing? What is this? But it's cool to see they're in full swing. And we got last question, 1 month away because are we excited? Because you're a Forza guy. But people don't know that. You like that.
I know I'll jump in and play it. I have no doubt. For me, I like motorsport a little more. Last time I just didn't stick as much. But I was like, the setting alone, I gotta jump in for sure. And the cover vehicle, I want to kind of check out the GRGT. I've got to.
You're gonna be tweaking in Turkey. You been doing your little manufacturing stuff that you do.
I just gotta look. I'll see how much time I want to put in. It kind of also depends on what's going on when it comes out, as usual. Yeah. But I definitely want to get my hands on it just because they're too fun. I can't not for at least a little while.
No doubt. Shout out to Forza. Shout out to them. And shout out to the preview. Like I said, the game looks like so far like almost feels like a 1-to-1 of Japan.
Yeah.
All right, E. Close to the main event. But we got to talk about these games we playing first. We playing games, man. You got a nice selection.
We play games here?
I know, the nervous. We don't just
sometimes we get to play games. Sometimes we answer emails. It's a bit of both.
We don't just talk and argue about news. We got to.
No, that's the internet's job. I'm going to leave the arguing to everybody else. I'm not here for that.
But I'm looking at your list, bro. You got some cool games. You're playing. So what's going on, man? Talk to us about any way you want to go with
it. Well, being as I have probably put more time in the Crimson Desert than either of you combined, I think Maddie fell off of it. I don't even know if you've had a chance to touch it yet, have you?
I had stopped at this launch because there was so many issues and I just didn't want to see it that way. So now that it's so more advanced and just been subsequent patches, I want to get back to it, but just backlog and embargoes and how that goes.
My hour count's probably broken between making content, leaving it paused, and doing some other stuff. But it's 120 hours or more easily. I've played a lot of it, and I haven't even. There's half of the map I haven't got to, and I'm just kind of scratching the surface on like the middle section right now. So it's a massive game. I understand why Maddie, who wants more character development, I'm not here for the story. It's light. It's kind of like a connection here. Go find some of your comrades after the initial thing happens that kind of sends you all
Yeah, that
up
initial
into the
thing
wind.
was real. I remember that initial thing.
That goes hard.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of systems working in the game. I mean, I've seen people say it on Twitter. Just one of the coolest open worlds to explore. With the abyss stuff that's like up in the sky islands that you kind of get to later on for that stuff. It's just something about like, it's not often where there's your dynasty warriors where you're like spinning a spear and you're killing like thousands of enemies in one swing. And then there's your souls where it's like one-on-one, very direct action. And this is like a mix. You can have a battlefield with a ton of guys on it. And then you'll have kind of the ones that get around you, but then some will truly come up and you got your parries and your blocks. But it's like you're doing it in a bit more of a groupage setting, but it's not quite as Dynasty Warrior. But you are dealing with a lot of enemies. So it's just like the combat is fun. Mm-hmm. The exploration, there's a lot of things to go find. When you do fight some of the bosses, they all seem pretty unique so far. It's just one of those that I know it's not for everybody. Mm-hmm. But if you allow yourself to get lost in it, it just is a fun. I don't mind just like hopping on, being like, all right, what's my next quest? Or what's over this direction? Or what haven't I done? And I've really tried to exhaust that like main area because there's a lot of side quests, but it's just little stuff like there's a bounty I need to go pick up. Okay, I take out the guys, I pin him to the ground, I hit him, I question him, I hit him again, I question him, hit him again, and then you're literally having
them and questioning them. This is definitely clip worthy. I love it. Continue. You're undefined, Duke. You know what you stepped into.
Yeah,
you know what you stepped into. Go ahead.
Like,
talk about the process.
He's just like, I mean, yeah, but it's just a little thing of like, so you have a bounty, and then you knock him out. You kind of like, put the restraints on his hands, and then you're like, okay, I have to get him back to like the prison guys, the prison cells. So you can do a couple of things. You could technically walk him back the whole way and just carry him. You can just jump on your horse with him on your shoulder. Or you can just like lay him on the back of the horse and then ride the whole way there. Well, I've tried a couple variations of this. Like, hey, I'm going to go. Oh, there's a hill. Let me jump up. I jumped a little too far. Me, the horse, the body, everybody went flying.
Oh, it's those kind of moments.
I failed the bounty.
Nice. Those emergent gameplay moments.
Yeah, just those happen in some fun ways. But then there's also one of the early ones you're going to get to is a quarry, big stone quarry. And there's progression you get on some of these big giant encampments of enemies, and every time you kill an enemy, the percentage goes down. Sometimes the percentage is like, hey, I killed one, it went down like 5%. And you're like, okay, I got to kill like 20 guys, not bad. Sometimes you kill one and it goes down like 0.17%, and you're like, how many guys do I have to kill? It feels like you end up killing 1,000. They keep spawning, they're coming at you, they're all over. As you kind of start developing your skill set and you have more skills, because it's a combination of letting the combat evolve to where early on you don't have as many moves, but as soon as you get your first grapple, you do a grapple on an enemy and it's like a wrestling move slam down. Well, the slam has a little area of effect. So you kind of get yourself a little bit of space. Then now I've got an ability to slow down time. That's your focus. You can kind of build back up your spirit so you can do your secret moves. And then once I'm in slow, I can kind of do a thing to where I can either do like a palm, like a big force palm, where it's this like spirit push, and kind of do that. I've also got the option to kind of slow down time, but then go and almost like Man of Steel style. It goes like zip, 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 and like just wail on enemies in slow motion between like 5 different ones really fast. And then when you're done, it's an area of effect that goes and just clears a big circle around you.
Fire.
And you're just like, and this, you could be fighting 200 enemies to clear out this camp. And it really feels like, okay, they have really camped out these enemy forces. And I'm like, I'm really whittling them down. It's not just like, okay, here's a guy, here's a guy, here's a guy, here's a guy, here's a guy. Mm-hmm. And it's like a Souls game. You got your like 20 guys to go through, and they're a little harder fights. But this feels like you're actually working through massive enemy forces. And when you finally like, you look at them, you're like, I'm at 50%. I have been here for a hot minute. And you're like, okay, I got more to do. But then you're like, okay, so I'm going to plant some flags. And then I got like a buddy that I can summon in. Sometimes you can do that a little bit later. But it's just the combination of like, okay, You've got like archery towers. Well, I've got a charged up spirit shot now, or if I hit one of the legs of the archery whole tower will collapse, and anybody in there is toast.
Fire.
Underneath that, if they've got little spikes, like you would picture kind of on a wall, like angled spikes for like horses so they would run.
Yeah.
Pick up a guy and throw him. He's going to land on the spikes and be absolutely impaled. There's just so much of the gameplay systems that are a blast, but you've also got a camp where you start to get more of your gray mains back at home, and then you send them on missions to start building up resources. You've got cooking, you've got blacksmithing, you've got crafting, you've got mining. Then you've got like sockets on your weapons. So now I've got like an ability when I do stab, if I hold it and do it right, it sends a 3 different projectile version of poison out into the enemies that are out there. I've got another one when I do my triple light attack. It does this wave attack that's a really early one that you can pick up. There's just so much if you want to get lost in it. I feel like if the first, like, it is a slow start, and that's one thing I wish they could kind of like.
Yeah, so I was a little.
I'm not arguing. Like, I won't argue. Slow start, but it's like and some people won't get through it and be like, it's not for me. Some people will be like, it's a little rough, but it's like when whatever it is clicks for you, and it could be hour 3, 5, 8, and I'm not saying those are short hours to get through. I get that for anybody who's like, this sounds like a lot to commit to before I know if I like it. That is a completely fair statement. That's why I was like, it's not for every, but if just that, like that open world exploring, because you'll have some puzzles to solve. And it's like, I've got like my puzzle itch. I've got my combat itch. I've got my like base management. I've got the exploration. Platforming is around there. You get a little bit of massive exploration, and just like, it doesn't end, man. It is so big. Like the amount of stuff that I've done to think about how much more is out there is kind of nuts.
Kind of mind-boggling. Yeah, and then most studio right now making it a single-player game, right?
Yeah, and it's just a massive single-player game that is just huge. It's like whatever their next patch is going to be, probably going to be doing even more, but they've already done enough with some early patches, storage numbers, stuff like that has really helped. Like the early part is like, what I would tell anybody is just like stick to the main quest for like chapter 1, 2, 3-ish. There's a couple things to do in there. Get through like 3 or get to 4 when you get your camp. It's like if you can just do those quests first. And again, some of the quests are boring. They're fetch quests. They're pretty straightforward. They're nothing too crazy. It's just when whatever part of the game clicks with you, whether it's like, I just fought 1,000 guys and that was actually kind of cool. And it seemed really, and then I can go along and untie all of these like hostages. Like you rescued like 25 people. I'm like, I actually did. It's just the little things that add up is the best way I can say it. So it's like, I understand if anybody's like, man, this game sucks in the comments. I'm like, you know what? Can't argue. There are certain things about it, not perfect, but it's like, if you just want to, and the world is gorgeous, by the way. The draw distance is insanely far.
PC looking good.
Oh God, yes.
Beautiful art, stunning.
Oh yeah. I mean, the draw distance is insane. I have some like screenshots of high up on towers, taking the draw distance way out there. And you just look at the world and going, yep, I've been to that tower once. That took a minute to get to, and just all of those things. And then you've got the Sky Islands where the story will kind of take you through. You can dive off the Sky Islands and then kind of fly to other places.
Some of these clips look crazy. Flying clips, gliding clips, being so it's like catapulted.
It is like the ultimate adventure. Like one of the cool things, I didn't even realize it early on. Everybody was talking about there's a gold bar you can get. If you want to figure out where a gold bar is, there's one in a house and it's under a fireplace, and go look it up. It takes you 2 seconds to find it. I didn't find that one first. And I had to figure out where I got a gold bar from. So I actually record a lot of my footage. And at some point, this like 10 gigabyte file is going to be too much. But there was I had to go back and figure out. I was like, I don't have it here. I don't have it here. I have it here. Okay, how did I get it? And it was literally the fact that there was this like, there's a wagon going along and there's a dude in front of it just like carrying a chest. And they're going on their little patrol between massive cities because it's just like there's people everywhere on the road.
Yeah, open world, people everywhere.
I bump into this guy in the middle of the fight. Everybody scatters, and later on I was like, what's in this chest? The dude's, and it's like a kind of decorative chest. Straight up gold bar sitting in that thing. Massive amount of money increase. Bumped into it early. Didn't have to steal anything.
Just bumped into him and took it?
Yeah, I literally just like he had scattered and ran away.
Oh, he ran after the bump.
Yeah, after all the fight, like the chaos was done, I was like, what's this loot? And it's just like, open it, gold bar. And I was like,
sick.
It was just like, and that just happened. But there's also ones to where like if you want to put on a like criminal mask, you basically put on a mask and that allows you to commit crimes. So you can steal things, you can pickpocket. And then eventually I went through a whole quest line of, I don't know if it was all the bounties or something else. There's a thief and you find this like great thief. I have gloves. Eventually they have like a long cooldown, but I can steal one thing. Nobody knows. Just straight up, nobody knows. There's no like, oh, did something happen to me? I think it might have. And there's this like warning area that goes on. Just nothing. So there can be nobles walking around. And if you kind of pull up your lantern, you can see that, oh, they've got a little silver pouch. They've got a scroll. Occasionally you'll see that they have the equivalency of like a gold bar. And I can just pickpocket the gold bar and be like, thanks.
Hilarious.
So there's just so much to get lost in. If it speaks to you, you're going to be in. And then that's kind of the thing. It's like anybody who says that they have a great time, I completely believe it. Anybody who says couldn't get into it, I also believe that too. It's one of those that's both. And for me, it clicked. And for me, I've been having a blast. I have no idea if I'm ever going to finish it, but I also just have fun booting it back up. And once I'm back in, I'm like, all right, what's this one? And then I had to go through, take out an entire area that was overrun by the black bears, the people you run into earlier.
I remember them.
Out all of them. And then all of a sudden there's these like machine things. They're like, it kind of looks like a little house, but it's like a little round dome thing.
Yeah.
Like cannonballs that shoot out of the outside. Well, one of the abilities I have, it's like this nature's grasp. I do this like nature's twirl. Any projectiles that fly at me, now I've kind of got them controlled in this little like circle.
Oh, okay.
Motion you would picture Doctor Strange doing, but I've just
okay.
Without the portal.
Right.
And then when I'm done, the upgrade to that is you can blast it back.
Fire.
So now instead of trying to like shoot it or swing at it and dodge out of the way, I just take all of its cannonballs, throw it back, insta-dead.
Fire.
So it's just all of those things that keep adding up, and it's fun, man. The combat feels good. The parries are solid. Like it's not Souls perfect, but it's damn close on some points where there's a boss called Entumber's Sword. That's like my video that's blowing up. Hard boss. And it's like, but if you slow down time and you just do focus, it makes this boss that teleports around much, much more manageable. So half the time it's like, what skill works best in this situation? And as you progress through, you've got a lot of options and then leveling them up. But yeah, when you start, everybody calls it an RKO, which I'm not a wrestling person, but it's like, do you know what that is?
Yes, the what's his face? I forgot the wrestler's name.
Randy
special move. Yeah, special move. It was a big thing. It was a big deal.
Yeah. So basically, like you run at him and you just do this like running choke slam.
Yeah.
You get that after you get the initial grapple. Now I'm just running after people in the middle of this like giant war and just poof. and so you're just running between three people, and every time you slam, it's a little AoE. So if you have like a group of like 15 people that come at you, and you're like, I got to manage this. So first, I'll slow it down. I'll do my like big like whole bunch of swings, blast them off. Then I'll start running after a few of them, hit a couple with an arrow, swing. I'll do my stab with my poison spray, and it's just like it all comes together. So it's just like it's not as like repetitive as Dynasty Warriors has always looked to me.
Yeah.
But it is the scale at times that is really fun.
Oh, dope.
All right, I want to kind of trade this back and forth because I talked for a long time and I don't want to talk all the time.
You good.
So you go next.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I want to shout out Colin and Lily Mo. This is something I just started recently. You know, they actually released their game, Saint Slayer Spear of the Sacrilege, man. And I'm proud of Colin because to see, you know, I know how difficult it is to release a game and then especially in this climate.
Seriously.
And this, you would love it. It is like if you're a Castlevania guy, this is a love letter to NES style Castlevania games. You know,
I know Colin's a Mega Man fan, so
yeah. And it got some challenge to it, man. So like I said, I just started probably about like 7 or 8 levels in. I'm very early. I think it's about 21 levels, but I must admit, like it really started to hit with me. Now the enemies can be a little cheap sometimes. Like there's this one enemy I can't stand. It's a skeleton thing, and the aim, every time this thing spawns on the screen, the aim at which it chunks a bone projectile at you and manages to accurately hit you in the head all the time drives me nuts.
It's like dregs with their grenade throwing school. Like they don't miss.
Oh, they don't miss. The thing that I did learn, okay, just duck, and then you should be fine. But you got to stop, duck. You know, it's obviously 8-bit controls. The cool thing too is it's like there's you know, obviously side to side scrolling. You got your little background stuff like that. You can go into the background on houses and search and stuff like that. There are human NPCs to be rescued in this game, and you can actually play a violent playstyle and just like slash everything and murder everything if you choose, and not get the benefits of, you know, these people, you know, tied up during this, you know, evil
you're
monster.
Me a hard time about my podcast, and you're over here doing this.
I mean, speak to Colin. He got all this in his game.
Okay, I got you. Yeah,
you're going to be getting some smoke too. But there's people tied up on tab.
If you guys aren't watching Defining Duke on video, you're missing out. That's all I'm saying.
It's funny, and then what's funny, you can speak to them. You can be like, he'd be like, oh, because you please help
Todd
me.
knows where to put the hands up.
I'm just repeating what Lily Mo did. Shout out to Lily Mo, shout out to Barry, my namesake. You know what I'm saying? Developers. Now it's fun. It's fun, and again, when you start to advance, you'll get like little items. And I wish I had more items, but they got this spear, and not only can you use it as a projectile that you have limited use, that it's very powerful because you build up like these rosary beads. Yeah. It's like he's like this priest kind of thing,
kind of like like a use of like kind of a power meter kind of thing. You
yes,
so much
and
of
you
it.
got so much of it, so you got to be wise, strategic with your usage, and it is powerful.
So I would probably like never use it.
Right, I'm like, oh, because you got to say
my style.
It gets overwhelming, and they'll spawn. They'll keep going. This game wants you to keep moving, and the cool thing is when you throw it against a wall, this spear, you could actually use it as a platforming thing to jump on to get to higher areas and stuff like that. Where the game started to get fun to me and started to click was there's like a downward thrust ability, which you go down in A, and you can use it to kind of like bounce off enemies. I don't know if you played Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. Did you play Ragebound?
I touched it briefly, but that's almost like Shovel Knight, right?
Yeah, you know those games where you down spear and then you could bounce and get over obstacles and stuff like that. That part's cool. I like the fact that there are some instances where you press the up arrow and then you can interact with a little bit of the background, not to the level of replace or anything like that, but you know, just that you could go back and forth sometimes, or ladders and things like that. Bosses, pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? A little dialogue, a little 8-bit style, fun stuff. The thing for me though, I gotta give them credit. Lily Mo, whatever y'all doing with the soundtrack, solid. These little 8-bit tunes is hitting, bro. He's got like 3 beats already. I was like, oh, this is a vibe. Like, yeah, like shout out. I don't know if it's bad.
Different type of like we grew up with that kind of music. Like, I mean, Donkey Kong Country did its own thing, but it's like, I mean, I got Chrono Trigger soundtrack for sure. But no, mine was Mega Man 2 and 3. That was my 8-bit. Those were my 8-bit soundtracks that classics, like are epic. Bro. So
this is a shout out. I want to shout out my writer from lordsofgaming.net who did a review. Shout out to Sue Bagels. He did a review on Saint Slayer. And yeah, I'm looking at it right now. He called it the Chiptune soundtrack. Nice. And it's this retro feel. It's super dope. I've been having a lot of fun with it, man. I've been having more fun than I thought. I couldn't stop playing. I was like, yo, I got to prepare the podcast. I got to get ready. So yeah, I'm like stage 8. I'm on this annoying water level right now that I got to get through. You got to row a boat and you press it down. It's kind of fun.
I think I saw a clip of that. Yeah, it's like if you're not going, it can sink or something like that.
Yeah, there's like water creatures jumping at you and stuff like that. And I will say the boss fights are actually good and hilarious. So yeah, salute. And also a little Souls thing. When you die, like when you come back, you see your body in the game. And you can kind of like extract stuff from it that, you know, not all stuff that you lost and stuff like that, but you get like some bonuses and stuff like that. But shout out to Colin, shout out to Lily Mo. Been really enjoying it. I've been having a lot of fun. Colin, I've been popping achievements because you be slanderous to the Xbox community. So I've been popping achievements so you can see that there's an engagement here. That's an inside joke. I'm curious about the Xbox game achievements and stuff like that.
He's like, why do we have 1 copy sold on Xbox? What's going on over here?
I'm that strong one. I'm outside with it, man. But salute to Lily Mo. This is absolute fun. And again, check out our review, plug, on lordsofgaming.net because we gave it a fair shot. But you're up next. What you playing next?
Mouse PI. Beat it.
Ooh, talk to me. Wow, talk to me.
Okay. I don't mean this in a bad way because it's basically the intention. Because, okay, the best way I can describe this is take the Home Alone black and white gangster film that he like does the voiceover for. You know which one I'm talking about? Absolutely.
Voice?
It's well, okay, so it's like 1930s noir crime drama, that kind of look. And then you've got like bullet hose 1930s Mickey Mouse Disney animation. So basically what I picture is this like Disney After Dark is the best, because it's like you've got, and it's just full of puns. Constant, like it's it's a mouse, PI, so it is like mice and rodents, and there are more cheese puns, fondue, like somebody cheating on somebody, like for like I can't even remember how they almost had like a drug reference to it, is like I can't remember all of them because
drugs in connotation with cheese or something like that.
Yeah, like almost like overdosing on fondue on something like that. It's just,
I got you.
It's all completely ridiculous. So it's like the animation. This is one of these. I'm going to talk about this and the other game I'm going to talk about before I talk about a couple of like brief ones. When it comes to like the style on a game, nailed it, man. They absolutely nailed. Like if you look and you're like, oh, mood, that's going to be like a kind of a light shooter, like first person, maybe boomer shooter, some people would call it, but basically it's a light first person shooter with bullet hose animation, and it's about mice and cheese puns. And it's like, does that sound fun and hilarious to you? If it does, they absolutely nail it. Like they do. The gun arsenal is kind of like a Doom situation where you've got guns, alt fires, you've got some progression to where they will do a little bit more damage or have a little bit less recoil. So those are some things you can kind of look for, some of the upgrades. There's not a ton of exploration, but just enough where you're like, I'll go kind of peek around the corner, maybe find a little extra. The money doesn't seem to be for much because there's like there's a weird card game you can play with kind of like weird baseball. Mini games sometimes work and mini games sometimes don't. That one I didn't go back to. So it's like, it's fine. So most of the money you pick up feels like it's mostly for a lot of those. There's like comics and stuff you can, but like, so the pickups and collectibles are fine, but some of the secret stuff you'll find are schematics or blueprints so you can do upgrades to your weapon. So it's, nothing's too crazy. While I was playing through, I think the only like weird progression thing I had that was like maybe one autosave back, which fixed itself once I went back through it. That actually got fixed.
Love the fact you can go back again.
Yeah. No, I know. We'll get to that. Yeah. So that was the only one I had that was actually patched before launch, I think, or right at like day one, but day zero patch, whatever you want to call it.
Nice.
And it was just like kind of ridiculous over the top. They had a couple moments where I was like, okay, we definitely didn't expect this. And I don't want to spoil that little surprise. So it's just a nice, fun surprise. But this is what I was saying. I was trying to say it in not a mean way, but it is exactly what it is a very unserious game.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, they're not.
So, the investigations you do, you've got a crime board. Well, it's just really just clicking on it. It does it. And if you have enough things that you probably kind of have to find anyway, it basically lets you drive to the next level. There's a little overworld and this little tiny car animation. You drive to the next level. It's kind of cute, but it's fine. And then you kind of go through the levels. The levels are what?
Question, because this is a bit of controversy. I don't know if you saw the streets have been talking about certain reviews. And
do I look like I'm in the streets?
I'm just saying, you're in the review streets.
Okay. Yeah. I'm on the Twitters. Yes. Yeah.
So they were saying, some was saying that, because you mentioned the simplicity sometimes of like these crime boards or whatever.
Yeah.
How would you respond to, because I'm not trying to be messy, how would you respond to someone who says, I was looking for noir and like this ain't really that, or is it, coming in, hey, this is not taking itself seriously and you shouldn't expect, is that imposing unfair expectation on the game based on what you play? What's your opinion on that?
It gets to a decent topic of discussion, which I'll get to on the next game we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, it doesn't take itself seriously. Listen to Troy Baker talk about it. The main character's name is Jack Pepper.
Jack Pepper.
What is the cheese? Pepper Jack.
God love it.
So it's literally from the go cheese pun. That is the main character's name. So it is literally everywhere. So to expect to take anything too seriously, I would probably say on this one is asking too much. You're not going to get an LA Noire investigation looking at facial expressions and putting together clues. I mean, even Alan Wake didn't have a lot going on, but you probably had to figure out a little bit more, which wasn't a ton in that crime board either. This is less. This is mostly just like find enough stuff in a level, put on the crime board, automatically populates. Hey, let's go take this to the next level, and it's kind of basically how you get to the next level.
No, you help me understand. That's good.
So yeah, don't expect this to take itself seriously. It's not going to. But the animations are fantastic. You've got this like de-varnisher, which it basically is kind of like reminds me of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I was trying to remember the right title. Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Basically, it takes the cartoon, kind of melts them down to their bones, and then they kind of like crumple into bones. If something explodes next to them, they're just a little pile of ash and eyes, but it's a creepy set of 2D eyes that follow you wherever you go.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, so it's like all of the little, this is why I would say like art and style and like vibes wise, I wish they would have had a couple more tracks of music, because some of the combat stuff I started to recognize enough that I was like, it's fine, but I was like, I could use one or two more that were a bit unique. But it was like how do I say it? Nothing lasted too long, but the little stuff realized they didn't leave a pixel untouched.
Okay.
Every inch of a level is spot on for what you would expect from movie scenes and a weird house and everything else. There's a couple levels that you're definitely not going to see coming. If you play it, you'll know. The gun animations, all of them, and when you get little upgrades, it's just there's a lot of passion and love that went into making this pixel perfect almost all the time. Ran butter smooth for me too. I mean, my PC is not a prime example. I try not to use it as that, but it ran smooth, so no question. It's probably not stressed in a PC either, so I will say that. But overall, it was goofy, fun, and like that one, I ended up saying that it was probably about an 8 out of 10. I think it's great. I feel like I could see people not enjoying it as much if it is just simplistic.
Gotcha.
If you're looking for a little more, then it may not do it for you. If you kind of realize what you're getting into, and when I say an unserious, punny first-person shooter with bullet hose animation and 1930s unserious crime drama, that's exactly what you're going to get. And it's just like, sometimes you can just unplug with a game like that, and that's okay. But if you're looking for more, you might be a little let down, so I can understand even a 7 or even a 6. If you think this is like, art style is great, gameplay is okay. I could see that, and that's kind of one of those for me. I generally had a pretty good time, and I had no problem going back to like, hey, I want to finish this thing up. I think it probably overstayed the welcome a bit. So I could see it being a little long in the tooth for some people, but overall, I had a pretty damn good time.
Nice.
But yeah, just know what you're getting into. I think that's
fair enough. I like what I'm hearing. Yeah, shout out to the Lords. They reviewed it as well. Saul was a big fan, you know what I'm saying? And I think I believe enjoyed it. So shout out to Cerebral Paul. We did a review on it. Yeah, for me, next up, I guess we got a little crossover on this one. I mean, with Replaced.
Yeah, you go first.
I'm still playing. Unfortunately, I am unable to play.
Are you?
I am unable to play. So I'm still playing in theory because I want to play really bad. But like I said, for those who didn't know, obviously the Steam version that I got for review code, I had an issue. There was a game breaking bug that was pretty much kind of made the screen very foggy and unable to see the main character. From my understanding, it got to day 1. There was a day 1 patch that resolved that. So I'm like, all right. I was only up to like chapter 3 at the time. I really wanted to play it on Xbox and Xbox Play Anywhere because I feel it's a perfect handheld game, to be honest with you. And I wanted to play on my ROG Ally. So I'm like, all right, I'll just start from that. And I got past, plays it all the way up to like chapter 6, 7. And they start to introduce a new mechanic, which is kind of like this hacking thing. When you pull out your phone, your utility belt lights up like the green color, and then you start to take over security cameras and things of that nature. And it just randomly stopped working. And there's a section where there are cameras and you pull out the phone and it doesn't interact with the things that you need to shut off. And I'm in this endless death loop where I can't go back. And because the game does not have a checkpoint system nor a level restart system, it auto saves literally every 10 seconds, everything all the time. It constantly overwrites. And I've never seen this where the bug is being overwritten in the sense that I'm not able to escape the bug, no matter if I backtrack to the stage or whatever. And it's a shame because, after I've complained, for those who listen on Summer Sound, I'm giving you a little bit of a replay, but it's a shame because this game to me is 2.5D gorgeous. This game to me is when it comes to a game that's pixel art, but this is some of the most beautiful foreground and background combination that I've ever seen that gives an optical illusion of 3D. And the game has the nerve, in a cool way, to allow you to go from foreground to background sometimes to interact with it, whether it be puzzles, whether to do stuff. I absolutely love it. It's an 80s grunge, alternate America, cyberpunky kind of alternate American history thing. Not gonna sit there and say like there's some amazing story, but the lore is kind of spoon fed to you through characters, as well as this cool little 80s Walkman thing that they got going on. Like if you're an 80s baby or you like anything from it, this is a love letter to that time, from the design to when you look at the buses and the trucks, you're like, yeah, that's an 80s bus. That's how things used to look. You know what I'm saying? That's an 80s truck. Yeah. And it's just so cool. And obviously, shout out to them for getting in front of the whole AI controversy, because it was kind of falsely reported that, this game was made with generative AI, but it was not. So it looks like Sad Cat got in front of that. They said that it's not that. This is a story of AI being influenced into your main character. And I won't spoil too much, but
that's the start of the game.
That's the start of the game, right? And this AI, and then, you dealing and trying to figure out, this relationship, this synergistic relationship between a character and this AI that's kind of in the head. Combat is fun. It's like it's like Arkham Light, where enemies come from you from both sides. You've got your light attack, you got your heavy attack that can bust out armor, you got your counter system. I will say it's extremely grungy when you're able to land a successful count. It feels good. The timing animations change. My nitpick would be like, sometimes you got to wait for the whole animation to finish, before you can do the next thing, So if you're trying to play with the utmost speed and precision, there are times it can be frustrating. And I will say this, though, as you progress, some of the things you get, like that joint when you reflect the bullets back, I was like, it's kind of dope to me. I was getting into it. So some of the backgrounds, the lighting, oh my God, some of the most gorgeous things going. And I was surprised more platforming than I thought. I didn't know you get your little pickaxe, you got platforming. Platforming is okay. It ain't nothing to scared about. You do your little pickaxe. But I was just surprised that it was in the game. So overall, I liked the game. Was having fun. I just wanted to see where it was going. I was getting deep. There you meet this character, there's Tempest, and there was things going down. Oh, gotta shout this out though. They're pseudo towns, man, that look kind of good with the little characters going from side to side and the thing. I was kind of impressed with what they're trying to do with the scope, what they're doing. Very unique, very ambitious, unique thing. And for my old school heads, if you remember a game called Flashback, I feel like this guy is inspired by Blade Runner, Flashback, a little cyberpunk. It's got some flashback to it. And I really, like I said, but Sad Cat, please fix it. But now, full disclosure, the director of the game, he did respond to me again today on Twitter, because I was told a patch was supposed to come out on the Xbox version on Monday, and it did not. And he said that they are aware, they're trying to push a hot fix. If not, I have to wait, because they are doing a chapter select. So it just sucks, because I love this game. All I want to do is think and get back, and so I can have a discussion with E about how did it end? How did it go? What was I was sitting there playing other games, mad that I couldn't play Replace, because I'm like, bro, I just want to finish this. And here's the other thing that didn't work. I tried taking my save to PC. I tried the bug travels. I was like, yo, I've never seen a bug travel like
that one's baked into your save now.
It's like there. You ain't doing nothing you think you doing. And I'm like, damn, I'm not gonna play this game 3 times. No. So Sad Cat, please fix this game so I can have a conversation with E. So E, tell me, what's your experience? What would you like? Give me your bars replaced.
I am not as high on it as you are.
Oh, let's go.
That's why I was very silent and smiling over here. I wanted you to finish.
Let's go.
Okay. When you say the combat feels good, I don't feel like it's polished enough for what it's trying to do. The thing, like, okay, so you're going to, you mentioned reflecting a bullet. Cool concept, but the time delay, just wait until later when more than one's flying at you.
Oh, yeah.
And then you got to try and do that or none at all. But then if you're trying to dodge some, they're separated enough. It's not polished and tweaked enough to me that some of the precision that they want is able to be something that you're going to match. I eventually basically beat most combat encounters after 3 or 4 tries, but it was the time that things went my direction because there are sometimes one too many things combined together and I got screwed. Now, sure, could it be some skill? Not going to argue. I'm sure somebody could probably make me look like a putz, but I'm a decent gamer with all the shit that I've beaten. I'm not going to say I'm not.
Sure, not skill issue. I'm messing with you, bro.
I literally
I agree with you
right
on when there's a lot of enemies on screen. The precision required sometimes can be very difficult.
And also where you say the depth of the ones who haven't entered the battle yet, standing like 2 steps behind you, that depth will screw with you because they all look the same. They're not darkened enough to be like, these are your active combatants. These are the ones that may pop in. And then all of a sudden you have a new one on the field as they kind of like one goes down and they bring a couple up. But sometimes you think, is he about to? And he's not somebody you're actually fighting. You're swinging at somebody who's not an active combatant, and then something else timing triggers gets off. I will tell you, I fully agree. Art style, lighting. I mean, you're looking at it feels like great, almost damn like live ray traced. It feels ray traced. It feels really, really good on lighting. Here is my problem. They made a beautiful game. Notice how I said they made a beautiful game? I've played other games that are beautiful. When I myself stop to be like, this shit looks fantastic on my own and pull up photo mode, they earned that. When it feels like half of the levels are 2 or 3 screens of you running across it to the right too long, I can't tell you how much. I feel like this game could be 50% shorter. Because everything felt drawn out. Everything. Like when you're starting, it's not like, hey, I'm running from something and let me hop over a couple logs and then dive into a tunnel. It's like, let me do this for like 6 screens worth. Hey, I got to a different area. Let me get to the platforming section. But I've got to run for like 6 or 7 screens when it could be 1 or 2. Mega Man's interesting because you go through an area and then you got to solve the next one. You got to solve the next one. There's either a letter or there's a guy or something. There are like 5 or 6 screens of nothing. There's a zone where I'm like, hey, let me run across it. And then it kind of zooms into the thing that's focused. And then I got to zoom out. Make it a smaller area. The game is gorgeous. There's a point where it forces you to stop your run, slow down, and then do the zoom in on the city for yourself. I was looking at it approaching, and I would have probably stopped on my own. But the fact that you forced me to do it in the moment, when I already, it's just like the pacing and the timing for me, everything felt too slow.
Interesting.
Just about everything in it felt too slow. And I think the part that annoyed me the most is you can sprint like 2 or 3 times in the entire game.
Yes, but it's not controlled. It's
but you can't control it.
That is a fact.
And there's also a point where I'm like, hey, I'm doing a little going between cameras or going between patrol jets or whatever they are. And it's like, okay, maybe I want to try and like run between and crouch or like run between. No, we're going to crouch before you get to the opening and we're going to force you to walk at crouch speed. So you can only go. So it's like they took away my control.
Took away agency on certain parts.
Yeah, they took away my agency of control when I would be like, okay, you're like platforming. I'm like, it's fine. But as you said, there was more of it than I kind of expected.
Yes, way more than I expected.
Way more than you probably would have guessed. So it's like, and this is where I was saying this between you and Travis, because we have our little group chat that's old.
Yep.
When it comes to reviewing a game like this, for me, it's really, really hard. Because I don't want to knock a game where the art style is absolutely gorgeous. It is great pixel art. Every time you see... It's like it's a very unique, as you said, like that grunge 1980s. You've got like the amber, everything is like amber lighting. It's got all that kind of like fitting 2700K bulb action. Buy too many light bulbs in a house, you'll know.
Buy way too many. I love that. I love that you threw that in. That was hot. Yeah, continue.
Also, I've also got like the key lights and you pick your color. So it's that more like orange color.
I got you. Continue.
I do too much.
Yes.
But it's also like the story was, I saw what they were doing with the story, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it's nothing I haven't seen before.
Okay.
And I can almost put some of it to a movie, just kind of switch a character to who you're playing versus who you're seeing. And I could almost put most of that the same way.
Okay.
So it wasn't anything revelatory, and I had to force myself to finish this one.
Oh, wow. That's not a good sign for you. Yeah.
To me, and I was just like, I need to keep going, and I'd play a little bit and then I'd stop play. So I was trying not to play too long. And then finally it just got to be like, I think I'm on like the last chapter. So I finally got to that point. It was just things. It felt like the game could have been half the size. Mm-hmm. Like, when Inside and Limbo, they are tight, like 4 or 5 hours.
Inside is goated.
If you take that level of polish and that level of brevity to make an experience better, I think that would have served this game in a lot of ways, because the art is amazing. Combat's kind of cool. I don't think it's as polished as it could be. That's my big drawback to it, because it's just I think
he referenced that too when he was on the director was on podcast a lot. He just recently did an interview, and he did mention, as far as like one of the feedback is like, we probably got, I think something they can try to patch that and make that more responsive. So your feedback has been heard. I guess some people have said that as well, as far as the responsiveness.
So it's like, I see what they're going for there, and the art's there, but this is one of those that if you made it a tighter, like every screen mattering so much more, that's where I think this one would have hit. And that's where it's hard for me. It's like, for like Mouse PI, I say it's like an 8 out of 10. It's great. Or it's a 7.5 or something. This one, I'm literally of like two different sides of my brain don't know what to agree on this one, because it's like, it is gorgeous to look at. I also think if you could somehow get voice acting in this one, it would just...
Yeah, probably would have added to experience.
It would have added to a lot.
But then there's also the mystery of not knowing and then reading the text and stuff like that. But I get both sides to it. So I wouldn't have been mad if it was. But
here's another thing with pacing. I can't speed up the dialogue, and I'm reading faster than it.
I agree with you. The
then I'm like, let me hit a button to go.
Where they don't let you, and he did mention that as far as something that they're going to patch. It comes into, not to interrupt you, but it does come into like, this game came in hot. And
it already got delayed, and it's still
it got delayed. So to your point, would a little brevity have helped on certain things to kind of tighten it up? But I get it. You're spot on with that.
Yeah, the dialogues. I want to click faster. There was even like a cut scene in the middle of a boss fight.
In the middle of a boss fight, you have to hit it. And you have to skip
I know what, and I had to do that. I had to do that multiple times, and I'm just like, make it a quick button. Don't make me.
I agree.
This is for any game, like any Souls that does it pisses me off too, but it's like, learn from the ones who do it well. Put the checkpoint right in front of the boss, skip the cinematic instantly, like if you've played it once, or just hit retry the boss. I love games that just have like retry boss button. Those little quality of life things would have taken some of my friction out of it, but I just kept hitting one more. Dialogue slow. Okay, now I have like 7. I don't think I've held right thumbstick so much in a game and just still seeing nothing, not a lot changing for a while. Like, you are truly like going hold right with a thumbstick for way longer than you should be in some of these sections. They could have been 2 panels and they were like 8.
Yeah, I think that's the only difference I have for you. But I get what you say. I mean, you're not wrong. So I think for me, because I'm so enamored where the world was going, that it didn't bother me as much as it did you. But to your point, there's sections where you're just going.
It was the length that started to make those worse.
Got it.
That's what I was saying. If you make everything tight, and again, if it's not 6 or 8 panels, it's like 2, and then you get to the platforming. And then it's like, okay, here I'm walking through a little AC duct. Why is it more than like 1 panel? That should be short, get to the point of the next thing, not like through here, through here, through here. It's just, that's kind of make that thing about 50% as long. And then, as we said, dialogue skipping and those other things he's already mentioned.
Quality of life,
then you crank that number up more for me. But it was like, the art style right now didn't outweigh the fact that it was like kind of a slog for me to get through. And that's why I was like, I don't know how to put a number on that. For a gameplay sake, it felt kind of like a 6 by the time I was done. It was not great. Art style, 9.5. Like, I don't know how to make those two match in my brain. That's the problem. That's why
your experience, what you felt, brother.
But that's why I was saying to Travis, I was like, sometimes I miss, and he was like,
Travis was super high on it.
No. It was the way I mentioned like reviews.
Right.
I was like, I miss when reviews used to do like art, gameplay, and like break it into categories. And I'm like, sometimes that can be beneficial because it's like, and it's like story versus however you do your categories, because some places do it, some don't. But it's like, this is one where they were not the same. I can't be like, oh, I gave this a 6. It's beautiful. I'm like, of course it's beautiful. It felt like a slog for me to play through. And I think that was where I was really struggling with this one because like I wanted to like it. It's beautiful to look at.
I can tell this is an internal struggle.
That's why but that's also why I pushed through because like I want to complete the package so I can at least wrap my head around my thoughts.
Final question before we move off for replays because I know we went long with replays.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. The ending from a narrative standpoint, without spoiling, you didn't feel satisfying to you. What is just like old hat or nothing that made you say, okay, this was cool, or like, this is lame. Oh damn! The pause.
No, I'm trying to figure out I'm trying to figure out if I want to reference the movie that I want to reference.
Oh, okay. I see what you say. You try to be
without saying it. That's why I'm not saying anything.
All right, just say ending rating. Just give me a number score on the ending. 1 to 10.
6.5.
All right, that's it. That's all you gotta say. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
I think that just because I was trying to push through the end, and then when it got there, I was like, okay. Like that's literally was probably the words. Okay.
No doubt.
I was like, there are probably 2 ways I could see it going, and I was like, okay.
Fair enough. Yeah. So I got one more because I know we made this segment a bit long and we had a lot of crossover stuff like that.
Sorry, everybody.
You're okay. We're talking games. I know we play them. I know. I apologize. I know
y'all want at least we're talking about gaming here.
We're talking about gaming. You know what I'm saying? But I'll finish.
Comments are going to roast me alive. I'm going to go later on and be like, oh my God, don't let him back.
You cannot be mad at someone's opinion of their experience. That's all.
No, not even that. I am long-winded. My comments on my YouTube videos tell me I'm long-winded. So I apologize, everybody.
All good. In the realm of the Dukes is love. Last thing I'll say is as far as because I'm not going to give guys the bars that I gave them on Summon Sign. So I'll just say, y'all know I'm still playing Starfield Free Lanes, enjoying it, taking my time, tearing up DLC. Things are getting better. But I will say, Tekken 8, come to the front of the congregation, fighting game community. I got my Warang shirt on, and we've been suffering. We have been suffering. This game seems to be developed by schizophrenic balance patch developers who don't understand what they want. 1 minute, the game is super aggressive and they're sticking to it and they're catering to the casuals and pissing off the entire hardcore tournament community as well as every hardcore fan of the mainline series. And people are quitting the game and then they lie and say, oh, we're going back to basics and we're adding defense in it. It's going to be less. And then they literally double down on the aggression and make people quit the game. So that was season 2. Tekken 8 has been an absolute roller coaster. It's one of the most beautiful, fun games, but the balancing has been a nightmare. So season 3 gets announced and everybody says, okay, let's see what they do. They say they're going to go back to basics. And yet again, they double down on absolute bonehead casino style gameplay. The whole community erupts. They quit. They're like, we're done with you. Circa the last 2 weeks, an emergency patch randomly happens. And boy, I can say with authority, we may be back, boys.
Oh, there you go.
Back. I don't know who the developer was on this, but man, situational awareness, aggression, heat turned down when you can't do a whole bunch of cheesy things in succession, balance, structure for entire roster, player moves of characters that was super problem, guys, including my character with certain things. Flappy kick nerf needed to happen. But I know that sounds hilarious. But for a person that play fight games, I know that sounded hilarious. Anyway, but like,
no, I'm trying to picture because I played a little bit of Tekken back a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to picture because I played him too, Waring.
Yeah. Oh, bro, it's sick. Like he would have some really unfair advantages.
Because I know he's got the stance, and it's like
it's a flamingo stance with a super fast, rapid high kick. It's crazy. You can combo if you catch Kyle. It's sick. But anyway, they nerfed some egregious moves for each character, minus 2 or 3, which are still top tier. But overall, for the balance and health of the game, phenomenal job. Let's see if they can keep the streak going. But I did enjoy my time with season 3 so far.
New project manager apparently is approved by COG.
Clearly. Someone. So we'll see. So I just wanted to shout them out. I did play that. And then give me one more before one more game you play. Because I know you played everything, but you guys just give me one more.
I just kind of started Pragmata a little bit. Okay. Couple hours in. Beautiful, first off. I mean, Capcom killing it, looking great. space. Just got done, watching the Artemis stuff with the moon. And if you haven't seen Project Hail Mary, please go see that movie. It's fantastic. I've seen it twice. It's so great. I think I can see I'm really going to enjoy this one from the start. Combat hits in a little of a different way because they got the little mini game to take down the robot shields with the girl doing the quick button push. But then you've got her childish interaction with him kind of being, I think it's just going to be a charming little sci-fi shooter, and it's Capcom doing something different because you've got, it feels a bit different than other things. Like it's not Resident Evil. It's not Monster Hunter. It's not Resident Evil shooting. It feels there's a little bit of a dash in there it's just different enough, but it's got the Capcom polish that you're like, yeah, I'm here. And I got to know. And so far, it's living up to the Capcom, batting average. So that one, I want to kind of knock out before Sorrows comes out because I loved Returnal.
Yeah,
that was a fantastic thing to
bullet hell, baby.
It was just one of those that I was like, oh my God, am I going to be able? Because I love shooting games on PC, mouse and keyboard. It's only coming out on PlayStation first. And I beat Returnal on PlayStation on PS5. I did it. And I was like, that was not easy, but I managed it. This time around, same thing's probably going to happen. You don't have to be as accurate, but it's one of those where it came out on PC and I never wanted to go back because I was like, I did it. Could I do it again? Do I want to? Do I want to ruin it? So I want to knock Pragmata out though before I get to Saros, and then Arc Raiders has a new map coming next week. I want to jump back in. That's another game I never thought I was going to play, and I put like 400 hours into Arc Raiders. It's stupid.
That's so crazy. You're the single player guy. I love to hear that. That's what I do. Arc Raiders was special. When I saw you playing as much, I was like, he don't play them. No attraction, no PvP, nothing. Like I know this. That's my Destiny brother. He is the solo. You are the epitome of like Solve, the single player, selfish experience guy, and to see you play Arc Raiders because I was like, oh, they got a formula. Something's hidden. So that was cool.
Because I didn't have to deal with the PvP. Every one of my lobbies, I just walk through it. I just walk around and be like, everybody's like, hey. I was like, oh, what's up? I don't have an ounce of PvP in that game. Not one. I'm in solo lobbies the whole time. And that's part of it. And then the other piece is just the fact that like there's something big floating up in the sky. There's me and somebody else is like, hey, you help them take that one down? It's like, yeah, it's a constant friendly experience for me. So like I'm going to have if you've ever seen the meme, it's like, you're sitting on a beach, dodging a couple aliens on single player, and then duos is a little bit more chaos, and trios is just like everybody's dead. That's about how that game goes from what I hear. But for me, it's been an absolute blast. Because the AI is so damn smart. I love watching them think. Insane. And I mean, granted, I've played that many hours now, so they're not quite as I've figured out the tricks for most of them. You can still be caught with your pants down if you're like in the open and a couple wasps get you. You're done. Like I've messed around and I was like, effed around and found out. I truly did. And I was like, okay, you still got to play a little serious. And it's just the fact that edge is always there. Makes every run I go on is like, hey, kind of cool. Can't mess around too much. And my God, if you ever hear a Rocketeer, run for your life.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Rocketeers will mess you up. So Arc Raiders, Pragmata, and then Saros will be my big one at the end of the month.
No doubt. And last thing I'll say before we move off the subject was with Tekken, I forgot to mention, Tekken community, I know we're in mourning right now. The rumors are that the long-awaited Tifa from Final Fantasy VII, which every Tekken fan wanted as a crossover in the game, allegedly the rumors are that she's going to Street Fighter 6. My condolences in the
Bandai?
Bandai makes Tekken, Square Enix does the Final Fantasy VII series.
Oh, I was thinking, and then Street Fighter does.
And then Capcom and Street Fighter. So the rumors of Streets are going. Tekken fans are about to crash out. This is a highly requested, because every season there's one guest character.
Oh.
And that's where everybody's like, yo, what's going to be the guest? Yo, it's got to be. She's been asked for the last 2 or 3 Tekkens. And it looks like they're going to get their heart broken because Street Fighter is in the building. So we'll see if it comes true. But I had to say it. We're in recovery mode, y'all. So I just wanted to.
With the movie coming out, they had a card to play with the movie. By the way, Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, I want to see both of those movies. Yes, I feel like it's 1999 all over again.
Renaissance, baby. So that's
Mortal Kombat was better back then.
Yes, but now it look like maybe.
I will say the first 9 minutes that they released a long time, Mortal Kombat 1 with oh God, I should know his name.
I know I saw it. I forget the names of the people who was in it.
Combat. He's freaking Scorpion. I should know his name. It hurts because he's
about the OG.
Shogun. No.
Oh.
Shogun actor.
Oh yeah. I
fantastic
can see the
actor.
face right now, but I'm just not
I'm
picturing.
looking it up. I can't like not say his.
Scorpion, get over here.
Oh, Hiroyuki Sanada. That's because he's like Shogun, got an Emmy for that and stuff. But like he's in so many things. But his opening scene as like, Scorpion,
sick.
Dude, that was such a hell of an opening, and then it kind of fell off the rails a little bit.
Yeah, after that.
The second one with Luke Cage and Carl Urban, that one looks pretty fun because they got Brock in there. But like Street Fighter movie, that looks exactly like 90.
Yeah, and I like they're leaning into it and they're just going for it.
Hard.
Yeah, I love it. And that's what I want sometimes from video game movies that I that's what we talked about the Mass Effect stuff where people were like, oh, we wanted to, we have to appeal to the casual audience. Sometimes you just got to make the video game that is why people fell in love with it in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. So yeah, I'm pulling for it. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's what we've been playing. But now, y'all been patiently waiting. The main event.
For those of you that have skipped the entire podcast and jump here in the timestamps, hello.
Hey,
I am Ebontis.
Ebontis is here. So here we are.
Like, who's that and why is he here?
Holding it down. So here we go. Main news. Xbox drops Game Pass price and day one Call of Duty from the service. We got some tweets and we got some Asha reads to do. So Asha Sharma on socials, on X, Game Pass Ultimate has become too expensive for too many players. Starting today, we're dropping the price from $29.99 to $22.99 a month. Future Call of Duty titles will no longer join Game Pass Ultimate on day one. They will join this tier the following holiday after launch, about a year later. Current Call of Duty titles will remain available to Ultimate subscribers. We'll keep learning and evolving Game Pass to better match what matters to players. Then the Xbox Wire follow-up, again, verifying that price, $29.99 to $22.99. Also, a PC Game Pass, dropping from $16.49 to $13.99. And again, beginning this year, Call of Duty titles will join Game Pass, yada, yada, yada. But it does say that Game Pass Ultimate subscribers will continue to have access to games, hundreds of games on Xbox consoles and PC, including the current Call of Duty titles, in-game benefits, online console multiplayer, unlimited cloud gaming, and major day one releases. You can find more details on the plans on their site. And yeah, this kind of broke out and went crazy. The internet has taken and run with this. And the last thing I do want to do, we got a couple of write-ins also in reference to, this huge news. So I want to shout out to Christian Like the Religion.
He's been asked too many times to spell that, I think.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Hail to the Dukes. First of all, big up COG and the Xbox 2 boys for coming last week. Yes, salute to Rand and Jazz. Now it looks like Asha is coming through. With Xbox Game Pass Ultimate going down to $22.99, I'm going to be subscribing again. I'm still going to hold their feet to the fire, but so far, so good. What would have to be done next on y'all's list to get on your good graces even more that hasn't been done yet? Then we got Luna Mara. Hey, defined daddies, pause. Could the removal of Call of Duty
got lumped into a whole different discussion?
Yeah, you in the daddy zone now.
Daddy, zaddy. I've only got the sideburns right now.
The side, but yeah, you gotta get more facial hair. Then you can own it.
No, if this grows out, it's salt and pepper.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's
like,
the 40
but I've got the Doctor Strange line.
The line,
No, it's literally here.
Oh, yeah, I see it. Yeah, I see when you had the line. It just stayed in.
This is not. Yeah. It's funny. So I've got like the Doctor Strange gray. It's funny.
Ebontis embracing his daddy role. Could the removal of Call of Duty from Game Pass Day One be a slippery soap? Is it possible?
You just said soap? Yeah, you said slippery soap.
Slippery soap.
And then we're talking about daddies.
Yes. We went left. We're off the rails.
So far off.
Slippery slope. Is it possible Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5 will be seen as too big for Game Pass Day One? Or do you think Call of Duty will be the one and only exception? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for the great content as always, and have is a Game Pass so back kind of day. And then finally, Mike Poe chimes in. Gentlemen Dukes, I have to say, I am pleasantly baffled by the recent decision to cut the price of Game Pass Ultimate. While I'm happy Xbox has got a W, I can't understand why it's Asha getting all the credit and not Phil. I'd assume this all the time. Since the Business Roundtable, Phil, Sarah, and Matt had lost the argument on the vision for Xbox and were made to do Satya's bidding after that. What is the Duke's take on why Asha is being given the green light to take actions that Phil Sarah certainly would have supported? So let's start here with all the news. When this
where do you want to start?
Let's just start with the news itself. When this broke, like, what was your thought process? Game Pass price lowering and the removal of Call of Duty from the service.
Business wise, probably smart move for them. Also comes off as a bit of an act of desperation. I would say that mostly because you look at every other subscription service that's out there, nobody likes it. Not one person is like, Netflix is going up. People leave it, but Netflix doesn't back down and be like, oh, well, we're going back down because we lost too many. Nobody's doing that, except, unfortunately, the one who may need to. So one, that again questions like, what is the viability? So if you're bringing it back down, you're not putting Call of Duty in there. That one's so big. Do you put a Fallout? Do you put an Elder Scrolls? Do you put a, like, Fable would be in there? That's still a big game, big budget, massive budget, probably. Feels like it's going to be because I'm hoping that game's fantastic. What is that? I know Call of Duty is the big money. We know that. So putting that in Game Pass, you're like, we got to justify it somehow. Okay, so that didn't quite work. And also, unfortunately, this is one of those variables of the equation we were talking about earlier. This Call of Duty did not hit on top of our creators in Battlefield kind of eating its lunch. Like, this Call of Duty is not a good one to have bet the house on. And then now you're like, maybe let's not put all our eggs in that basket. Okay. So you've got that change. The fact that you're going to be subscribing again, is that just, was the $7 too much? Are there games on the horizon you're looking for? Are you just subscribing to turn it back off when certain games come out and then leave it?
Well, they took that feature. They took the hustle away. They took it away. That out of it.
You can't turn it off and turn it on?
Yeah, that's you can't turn it off. People were doing that, copping at the month, cancel, and then the hustle. They shut their hustle down.
So what are you, like 3 months minimum now or what?
I believe there's some form of a lock-in where you can't do it. Because I believe I was talking to me and Maddie had brought it to my attention because we used to call it the Dustin effect. He used to do this. I ain't trying to blow you up though. Like, this was his hustle. Like, he would just, would it be follow something? Yeah, that would be interested. He'd pay for it, and then you'd be able to cancel and kind of, I guess, get the refund. And I think that maybe they'd be shutting the refund down.
Oh, I'm not even implying that. I'm just saying turn it on for a month.
Got you.
You're $23. Get your game for cheaper than you would pay
you
normal.
Apply something different.
And then turn it off. Yeah. That's all I mean is like, you're getting a game for 23 instead of 60 or 70. That's the way that's, so is like, is that what's appealing to everybody now? Then of course, yeah, that's great for the consumer. But does that help Xbox? If that's something that they're going to look for, or is this the magic number where people are okay with it again because it's not 30? I don't know. Like, this, taking the price down, not a bad thing. Taking Call of Duty out means all of your eggs are not in that one major ass basket to make the price so high. So that part makes sense. The question is this the magic number for everybody? And then you also see one of your other comments, I think from Jez, and I feel like I saw something else on Twitter. Make your own. This is what everybody wishes. Cable.
Yeah. Like, let me actually, good transition, because that part I forgot to mention. Jez Gordon follows up the report that Xbox is looking to do a pick your plan approach to Game Pass. Microsoft sources tell Jez that the long goal for Game Pass is to make it more flexible. A sort of pick your own plan formula for Xbox Game Pass is on the cards, essentially where users can effectively decide what packages of content they want to see as part of their plan. Microsoft has leaked Duet and Triton codenames for Xbox Game Pass via its backend APIs recently, suggesting that packages of services are in the plan's future. Don't want Xbox Cloud Gaming? Remove it and lower the price. No need for Fortnite Crew? Ditch it and add day one Xbox games. Perhaps you can roll in World of Warcraft or Minecraft Realm subscription instead, or even other benefits like Netflix per rumors or the long-awaited Game Pass family plan. Also, I do want to we did get some breaking news today that I have to add to this, that Asha tweeted today in terms of speaking about adding value and options or whatever. Apparently, there's some rumor of a Discord and Xbox Game Pass relationship that is deepening. And then she had put out a tweet today. For years, Xbox and Discord have worked together to make it easier for players to connect, chat, and play across devices. We're teaming up again as we continue to make Game Pass more flexible for our players. Some of you might start to see some code in the wild. So maybe some data miners might be finding something. And we will share more details with you all soon. And then finally, in reference to that, I don't know if you saw the Discord account actually retweeted Asha and commented on saying like, looking forward to telling you guys more about what we have planned. So there is something brewing in addition with Game Pass and Discord that they would add it. But now we have all the context. You could finish everything you say. Your thoughts?
I mean, I said enough. What do you? Where are you at just on the initial? What does the decrease do for you? Is it enough? Is it the right thing? Do you feel like it's good for? Does it do enough? Where are you at?
Thing. Where I'm at is this. When Game Pass, here's the problem. Living in this ecosystem, the only thing I felt Xbox had going for it was Game Pass for the last 2 or 3 years, where it was like, okay, whatever Xbox is doing from a directional standpoint, we're putting games everywhere, whatever. The one solace that a person who lives in this ecosystem and loved the platform was like Game Pass was the best deal in gaming. Again, provided your spending habits would allow you to play those amount of games. If you're a person who bought 1 or 2 games, then no, it is not for you. But for a person like me, who literally, if I wasn't getting review keys or for most of the time, I'm still buying stuff, right? So half of these games, a majority of these games, 80% of these games, I would have bought. And I looked at that value and I even did a spreadsheet. I'm like, okay, list all the games for the last 5 years. There were a lot of games. The second thing that was really informative to me was that because of the discoverability of Game Pass, there were games that I would have never tried on its own based on the fact that they lived in the storefront. So when last year happened and we had the 50% price increase, that was egregious. That now priced them out as one of the highest subscription services going, pissed off the majority of the base with the reaction. I think they broke the website for how quickly you can cancel the service. So this was catastrophic, right? And what it signaled to me is 2 things. One, the ABK Call of Duty experiment has failed because what is happening, and shout out to Colin, I got to give him his flowers. He's always said, like, how does it make sense? How do they make money in terms of putting Call of Duty in the service? Now, selfishly, I am a computer. Respect to Colin. I don't care about that part. That's for them to figure out. If I go to the dealership and you're going to give me this car with all these bells and whistles for this beautiful price, I'm not going to refuse you. That's for you to figure out. But in fairness to people who care about the business, it does make sense to say, yo, how are you getting this back? Because this is the biggest game in gaming. You're putting it on your service. And now we have enough data to show it did not grow Game Pass. And it conversely hurt Call of Duty where people were not buying, the people who were in Game Pass were just getting it, quote unquote, for free and not buying it. So they both were counteracted to each other. And look, I'm the first to admit, obviously I love a lot of aspects of the past regime, but this was the biggest, I would say, failure in terms of the bet that was lost. The bet on ABK, right, was to say, hey, if we put Call of Duty in the service, this should grow it. Now, if Call of Duty cannot grow the service, it is an abject failure. So how I look at Asha now is I say, okay, this is a person coming from the outside without any ties to the business, right? She comes from an Instacart background. She comes from, obviously, has some AI background. We're not going to ignore that. But at the same time, user acquisition. And her first statement, I've never seen this, I've never seen any corporate CEO talk about their product and say, our product costs too much money. I've never seen that. We've got to lower our, shining thing that we promote. We have to lower this because this is too expensive. And I'm like, okay. And then to see how it's done. Now, the way I look at it, $22.99, I feel that's the compromise number. Okay, because I feel like probably 20 was probably the sweet spot to go back to. Yeah. But in my experience, corporate greed tends to win. Corporate greed, I thought it would play out like they would stay at 30, remove COD, right? And then call it a day. The fact that she was able to do, I will have to give her this. The fact that she's able to negotiate the price lower in conjunction with COD, being removed from the service is a big deal because they're looking at it like, yo, people have to buy this game. To your point, the last Call of Duty was not good, right? And it showed how dependent they are. Because I believe when it was a down year with Arc Raiders taking their lunch, Battlefield taking their lunch, you even seen it affect their financial reports where the games and services, because Call of Duty has a down year, it affected games and services as a whole. It is so vital and critical, because even when Black Ops 6 was good, Black Ops 6, the first time they put it in, it did well, but it barely moved the needle on content and service. I think it was like 2 or 3%. So I'm like, wow, they're very dependent on this. So I think the call from up top is, yeah, take that out. But I think her negotiating was probably to say, okay, we've got to bring that down. I got to give her kudos. So this is a huge deal. I didn't expect that. The last thing I'll say, because I don't ramble, is you got that as far as, you know, the person that says slippery slope. I think that's valid. I think here's the thing. I'm never going to say no to a price drop. Amazing that she's able to do this. However, you do run this thing, E, where you say, okay, Call of Duty is too big for the service. Is Elder Scrolls 6 too big for the service? Is Fallout 5 now? You set a precedent of big games being classified as too big for the service, and I wonder how that goes over with the base. I don't personally care about Call of Duty, but I can understand if you're a hardcore person that has now been accustomed for the last 2 years and you go, wait a minute, you said I get this for free. What happened? You know what I'm saying? The way the last thing I'll say, and I'll give it back to you, is what it reminds me of, which I think is smart, is the EA play model. When Madden comes out, they'll give you a 6 to 10 hour trial.
Yep.
They'll let you play the new Madden. And then it's like, yeah, okay, you got to buy it now. And then when the next year come out, then the old Madden goes into the service. And I think financially, for the numbers to work, this is how it had to happen. But I'm curious about that. I'm also curious with you about what do you feel about these other relationships and potential, like pick your own tier, like a la carte Game Pass. Like how do you feel if those rumors are to be true?
A la carte's probably not too long of a discussion point. It's what everybody wished cable TV went too long ago. Now we have 20 streaming services and cable TV and YouTube TV, and everything still costs more. Whatever. That's, for me, it would depend on what it is, but I don't think for me specifically, mostly being PC gamer, I want my PlayStation exclusives. There's not much point for me personally. And that's kind of where I wonder, part of the issue with being, you could say greedy, you could say fiscally irresponsible, whatever you want to call it. When you cranked it up to $29, you had a reason to do it. Greedy, lost too much money on Call of Duty. We're going to try and do what we can here. Unfortunately, for all the people who are like, and that's my wall, they have taken the exit at that point. They have set down the Game Pass and no longer carrying it with their little subscriptions that they have. And you're going to have a really hard time getting some back just because you lost them, period. Some people are like, it's a little more. It's a little more. I still play probably enough games there. $30 a month? Hold on. Is that really making sense anymore? Probably not. And then that's probably when you get people doing a reevaluation.
Absolutely.
That process has now already happened. So now was the point where somebody's like, hey, it's going to go down to $23. I'm going to subscribe again. That's cool. But also is like, do you feel like there's enough there for you to turn it back? So if you turned it off and you're like, all right, I'm going to turn it back on. So what for? You got Forza. You got
Forza,
Fable coming. Here's.
Why am I blanking? Halo Campaign Edition.
Yeah, that sounds questionable, by the way.
Yeah, so many. I lose track of so many.
If you're going for the big ones, maybe.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So if you go 23 a month times, what do you got? 7 more months in the year?
Yeah,
that's $161.
Mm-hmm.
So if these are $80, that's 2 games. Are you going to buy more than 2 games at full price? Or maybe you'll buy a couple in an indie. That's the point to where is at $23 a month. Some people are going to do the math. Some people are like, hey, it's down. That's the question I want to know. It's like, you have the right end. If this is their love to get back into it, awesome. I am so happy for you. I think I am a very analytical person where I go over a bit more the numbers, where I'm going to come at it from a different angle. Mm-hmm. Somewhere there is a big wide swath between the person's like 23, yay. And I'm like, I got to do the math. And there's an in between where some will, some won't. And there's going to be some people just doing the math and be like, I've learned to live without it. Just because it came down, I don't need it anymore. Or I'll wait a little bit longer. I'll wait for things to go on sale. Whatever it is, I think the fact that they bumped it and then you crash the cancellation page makes it harder now to make something appealing if you've walked away. The little creeps that everybody does If you can keep everybody just still attached, that's okay. You can kind of keep them going. It's when they're like, one big one, too much.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the harder ones to get back. Those are the ones who will turn it on and be like, okay, fine, $23, Fable's coming. Let me turn it on and turn it off for that month. I'll get my 30 days out of Fable. I'm good. And then see you later. That may be what happens a little bit more. As for when you get something like a Netflix deal with Discord and Game Pass in there, or something, one of those weird bundles that you can get now because so many companies are like, we just got to lump it all together and hopefully they take it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that'll work because Discord's a popular thing. It all just kind of depends on where everything goes from there. I think for me, when it comes to the Elder Scrolls 6 or Fallout 5.
Right. Slippery slope talk. Let's go.
I still wonder how any of those make sense. Because it's the development budget. That's the biggest thing is you're trying to make back hundreds of millions of dollars. COD is obviously, 500 million plus, maybe $1 billion on some. They're bonkers. It's not that, but they're rumored to be massive. Like what was $750 million on one of them? I think.
Insane, bro.
Massive budget. So you can't make that back in just Game Pass and then give away at least that many sales, depending on where it goes. Obviously, people are going to play it on other platforms and they'll pay for it there. But if you have massive budgets and Elder Scrolls 6 got announced to win and is going to come out win. No one, because that's why when I say it's like, hey, they're still making more Starfield content, I'm like, you got a much bigger potential out here with Elder Scrolls than you'll probably ever get money out of Starfield. That's why I wonder why the business decision is to keep sticking with Starfield, because Elder Scrolls has a chance to make you a lot more money for the time. Unless it's a small dev team. And again, I don't know the lift and all that stuff. So that's the business side of it. I don't know. But Elder Scrolls 6 potentially going to be huge if they can nail it. But people are going to be a little more skeptical with Starfield, but it's still just going to have a massive budget. So do you put that on there? I would wonder again on some of these massive games if you do. And if Call of Duty doesn't make sense, I know it's huge. What budget does make sense and what budget doesn't make sense? Right. Is it a $50 million game's okay, but a $250 million, we got to put that separate. Where's the number where they draw the line? We won't know that, but they have to have some number somewhere now that is like, is it too big for Game Pass? They will know that number and they probably will make some of those calls, I would bet, because only things are going to cost more.
Right.
So that's my guess.
Yeah. No, I get it. These are interesting discussions. I think for me to jump back on the a la carte, that part, I love that because I'll be transparent. I don't use cloud gaming. If I can take cloud gaming off my tier and somehow it's a reduction in price.
I thought you were one of the cloud gaming guys. I feel like I've literally heard you talk about it in here being a cloud guy.
Bro, you know I'm a techie like you. When it comes to anything new, advancing the culture, I was in a Waymo with Travis. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I wrote in one.
Like, bro, you show me new tech, I'm going to try it. I want to see what it do. Now, as far as my
long term,
my preferred play to play, like no way. Like give me, native and console. I'm only doing that if you got me locked away somewhere and I'm like, there's no way I could use a console. And I'm like, all right, fine. I'll play this game that maybe it doesn't have a lot of latency that I could get away with an experience. And I will say they've come a long way. We did a Halo 5 complete cloud stream because none of us wanted to Halo Infinite, and none of us wanted to download 150 gigs while we were waiting on the stream. So we're like, hey, let's test it on stream and see how it really is. And we were like, oh, it was actually playable. But yeah, to your point, to the original point, if I can remove the things I don't want, and one would be that I don't care about Fortnite Plus or whatever that stuff is, and you allow me to now either, because again, the rumors with this Discord, now Discord is literally outside saying that something is planning, some integration. We have to admit Discord is the preferred place to communicate in terms of cross-platform play, in my opinion. You don't want to put me on the Discord, to be honest, bro. If it wasn't for you, like I wouldn't even, because you like full disclosure, Run with the Dukes. This man forced me into being PC Master Race during the Destiny days. He was like, Cog. I was like, I just want to play on console. I'm a console. He was like, look, man, this is cool. PC, you get your bill, and they're giving you Destiny for free. And I'm like, all right, that's kind of good. I can't lie. This was the days before cross-play and cross-progression. I redid my characters on PC because I was like, oh my God, plus 60 frames is mind-blowing. I'm never going back. I betrayed console for dirty Xbox One generation for Destiny. I have to admit it. Showed me the light. Gen path for you to even boot it back up again. It took the series consoles to make me even think about it. It was about 4 years how I betrayed my clan. I betrayed everybody. And I was like, sorry, showed me the light on these frames. I ain't going back until them frames get up. There it is. But full story. Back to, the way this linked into Discord is that's how I realized, you guys communicate. I used to play with you. I used to shout out to Mikey Barra, who had an amazing hardcore desk. He used to do raid carries with his team and stuff like that. And I used to get in there. I'm like, man, this Discord thing is amazing. Like, It is the preferred communication player. To see it now integrated into PlayStation, integrated into Xbox, and now we can cross-platform chat in the group chat. I do it with the LSM fan. We play Demio Battle on PlayStation 5, Steam, and VR. It's super dope. So anyway, I like the idea of potential value being there. There's also the rumor of Netflix flirting. I don't know where that's going to go. I don't know what's going on with that. But look, net positive, I think where you're going is this is where I agree with you. I think I get from you, E, is like, all this is cool, but because of the burnt bridge of this mass exodus of people who left, how many realistically are coming back? I think that's a fair argument by you to be like, that's burnt. So this is my theory. I could be wrong. My theory is that she wants to make it affordable. They realize they have to sell video games from a retail standpoint to get the business to make sense. And there's a part of me that I feel like they look at it as like, not a failure from the standpoint. Like, I don't think they realize it like, we're going to grow it. This is going to be a core part of our business. There's a part of me now that's like, because even in her initial statement with joining on Xbox, Game Pass wasn't mentioned initially and as a core tenet of what it means to be Xbox. So I look at it as like, this may be a temporary fix, and who knows if this is still long term, especially if they're pulling the big games out, right? My theory, this is what I think they should do. I don't know if they're going to listen. Publisher, if you're ABK, Bethesda with the big games, if you're a live service, you got to be multiplayer. If you're multiplayer, you got to be multiplayer, in my opinion. I think with Xbox Studio games, maybe you do single player experiences. Maybe you do, a timed exclusive 6 month or whatever, and see how it is. Because we are seeing some data with the Starfields and the games that we mentioned that it ain't necessarily doesn't seem to be hitting those much. But when you see a multiplayer, you see Call of Duty, like those were hit. So it makes sense kind of day and date there. So that's my theory. And the last thing I'll say is that I will say this. This is the most positive I've seen the Xbox community in her case in point. This is her for her first, 3 months, slashes Game Pass price, kills this is an Xbox ad. That was one of the disrespect to the console users doing those ads was crazy. Prioritize consoles, updates achievements, reviewing the exclusive talk. We'll see. Announce Project Helix, which is they're going to still do a console, which is selfishly all I care about. Bring back Fair Fest, which is, again, huge for the soul of the community, so to speak. And then obviously announces the Gears E-Day, and now we got the Discord announcement. I just feel, I know it's early. She's still learning. She's not going to say she's going to do anything, not make a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. But this is probably the best start. And I have been very skeptical of her. I'll be on the record, E. I'm like, I got to see. I don't know. You got to prove to me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a new candidate, a new presidency. You got to earn my vote. I don't just randomly, blindly, follow. So for me, I have to admit, this is an amazing start. Let's see, what happens and continue. And yeah, I mean, I was blown away by this. I didn't expect this, and to see the response has been very interesting. But yeah, I don't want to beat this to death unless you got anything else before we move on to the final thing. But
biggest thing I would say is so here's the question.
Talk to me.
From Satya's perspective, to say, hey, Asha.
Good call out. Yeah, we didn't talk about that part yet. Mm-hmm.
I was like, you've got Phil leaving, you've got Sarah Bond leaving, you've got Matt Booty kind of maintaining his support role to the CEO. Here's I'm going to move you to this team, not as much of a gamer, but she's kind of trying to really wrap her head around everything. I'm going to give you some freedom to try and make some changes, make some experiments, and see what we can do with this division. And that's a point where it's like, hey, if we take this out, we lower this price. Does he want to see any number go down? No. But is this an experiment where the price goes down? Now, here's the other question. He's like, hey, okay, you want to try and lower the price? That's fine. What happens if 6 months from now, if that lowering the price didn't move the needle? And that's the question of where only time will tell the story. But if these changes sound cool, but they don't move the needle enough, then what changes?
Good point.
Do you slowly see things fade slower and slower? And that's kind of the point of to where is 23 enough? Is like, I don't have a poll to ask the Xbox people because every poll is skewed on the internet. But I would be really curious to know, it's like, did this 23? And if you guys, enough of you watch in the comments, did it go on from 30 down to 23? Did that do it for you? Is that like, hey, I turned it back on? Was that the magic number?
It's a great question.
And it's like, and that's the question I would have Satya probably will have for Asha 6 months from now. It's like, hey, you want to do this? We're going to revisit it once we've had some time to analyze the data, because you know they're going to analyze that data like absolutely down to the minutia.
Spreadsheet. Oh yeah.
And that's kind of the big question is you can experiment in here, but if things don't go well,
right.
That's the question. It's like, so I wonder how much liberty she has been given, because as what was it? Mike Poe said it. He's like, how was this not a thought why was it bumped in the first place? If it was, and you saw that feedback, how is it not like one of those where you step back from it and say, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that? And so Phil and Sarah don't get absolutely crapped on for this one. And then she gets to come and be like, hey, that's why in my head, I see Satya saying, I'm going to give you a long leash to experiment, because I want to try and revitalize this decision. Could take some dramatic ideas, could take some big shifts and things. See what you can come up with. So these are decent experiments to be like, hey, lower the price, see if we can up the numbers. Pull COD out. That's at least going to give us the physical sales of, not physical, but individual sales of those. Like, go through these things where you think the money can be made to make this division profitable, and get to if the 30% number still floats out there, anything else, that's where I think only time is going to tell. But that's also why I think the leash is long right now, is because you have new leadership. If there was issues in these magic profit numbers they're trying to hit, see what you can do. Right. But if it doesn't work, there may be a really hard sell that comes, like, revisit this conversation 6, 12, 18, 24 months down the road, then see if anything's been like, how long is that leash? And that's what I'll wonder, because like, obviously as a consumer, price going down, cool. But until we see what comes out of it, we won't know.
Yeah, absolutely. My guess is that internally they value $70 purchase per Call of Duty and everything that comes with that way more than Ultimate Game Pass, Game Pass Ultimate subscribers. And there's a part of me that thinks that they have a realistic cap on where this thing is, and they ultimately want to get back into the retail of buying those games, especially the biggest game in the industry. So that's the first part. I think the second part, as far as the question that Mike Poe read in reference to why now and why credit, and why is she allowed to move this way? I'm just going to be honest. I think the conditions have changed, and I think this is the past regime, in my opinion, was not afforded to operate under these conditions. For what we see in all the leaks and the rumors in terms of Amy Hood and the 30% mandate and all that stuff that was in place, those were the conditions during a Microsoft who is very AI investment heavy, to be first and to put all the resources of the company, because Xbox is really still a small cog of what they do. So that, to me, was the conditions that the past regime was forced to work under. In my opinion, again, I'm just theorizing, there has been some pushback internal. We have some data and some comments from executives as far as even the overcommitment and investment to AI. And I'm not saying the bubble is bursting and AI is going away. What I'm saying is that because I think there is some course correction that now Asha's regime is being afforded to say, okay, we went all the way there to try to be first. We're not first. We've spent a lot. Let's get back to at least try to make this flourish. And I think those are the operating conditions that she is being afforded to work under, which is awesome. I don't care. Like, long as it gets the Xbox brand to a better spot, I'm selfish. I will fully admit. But in fairness to the past regime, I do think they were not afforded these working conditions as to what Mike Poe is saying. And to your point, we'll see, 6 months, 12 months. Is this, something that they looked at in the numbers, the math for them or not? And we will see. And then, that's the final thing. Unless you got anything else to add to that one, we'll just get to the very, very last thing that kind of broke this. It's a long lose day today. Last one was Halo Studios. And again, shout out to Rebs Gaming. Looks like they are reportedly abandoning the Battle Royale and pivoting to a different style, potentially extraction shooter is being referenced according to the report. The project was originally separated experience developed by certain affiliate 343, built using the slip space, which is now no longer in use. And now that they said that project was dropped as the battle royale wasn't working, the space became increasingly saturated. Rev states that while some elements work well, the overall concept did not land. And now Project Eaker, which is being talked about now, according to Rebs, was a PvE extraction shooter with the last confirmed development status dating back to 2023. Its current status remains unclear with conflicting reports. Some suggest Eaker is now a solo multiplayer project, while other believes it has been folded into the next mainline Halo title, which we assume is Halo 7. So Project Eaker, we don't know what it is. Is it extraction shooter? Is it mainline Halo 7? We don't know. So I'm just curious. Again, shout out to you for sourcing this and bring it to my attention.
I literally browsed Twitter at the right moment. So I'm not going to take a lot of credit on this one, I'll be honest.
Yeah, so shout out to E for his tremendous sourcing. That's what he does. Inside reporter here.
I opened a browser page and poof, my news just flies my direction.
You are an insider now. That's how it works.
Totally.
What do you think about Halo City apparently abandoning Battle Royale and potentially pivoting to something else?
I mean, getting away from Battle Royale, being as I feel like that train's parking at the final station. It's up. I feel like, I mean, you got your Fortnites, you got a couple of those. I feel like that has kind of done what it's going to do. I don't feel like Halo has nearly enough weight, gravity, or anything else to try and kick off a new one now. I just don't think it would work. Sadly, on the extraction shooter side, we're all seeing like late to that game. Arc Raiders, as I mentioned, I enjoy playing that thing because it's not PvP, because it's like the crazy AI that works and it's fun to fight. It's not because I'm getting my ass kicked in Marathon. Marathon is a actually well-polished game and they're working on stuff there, but it's like, it's a great game. It's just not for me because it's for the hardcore.
Oh, yeah.
I literally saw that raid takes a 5,000 value loadout.
Yes.
And you have to go in with a group. And I'm like, I'm never going to get there. And that's literally when I just kind of set it down. I was like, I'm never getting there.
I got to interrupt. Inside last word joke. That would be like us doing King's Fall. And players can jump in like Gambit, kill us, and take the.
And then you lose your entire loadout.
Yeah. You lose your whole. You lose all the things you got through the raid. No. And then
that's why I knew that. I knew that hardcore was that. That's why I never really played extraction shooters and Arc Raiders worked. But when they did the raid that way, I was like, oh God, I would be so mad. Would have been so mad. You lost the Gallahorn. You lost the Zex, the Vex Mythic class.
Some dude robbed you in the middle of the raid mechanics. That's wild.
Man, I would have been. But that's like, for an extraction shooter already having that level, the rich get rich and the poor get poorer.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the hard thing about that. And then I know how long those factions take to level up. And then that seasonal reset, it's required by everybody. There's no optionalness like in Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders is casual friendly, and that is why I'm there. Marathon is not, and that's why I will watch from the sidelines. And I won't say anything. Like, I see the reviews come out, it's like 8.5, something like that. I'm like, I get it. It's polished. There's a lot there. And once you kind of understand the UI, it works. But I was like, and the raid experience that I watched was very cool. Amazing. But it's like way too hardcore, and I love bashing my head against Souls bosses, but I'm not doing that.
I feel you, bro.
No one's gonna ruin my fun. I'll ruin my own fun and bash my own. I will bash my head against the wall all day long trying to beat a Souls boss, and an hour later I'll beat the next boss or whatever. But if I go in and then you ruin my attempt on a raid,
come in your session.
I don't need that. I'm sorry.
Look, I'm with you.
You can call me old or whatever, just a weenie, but
that's real. That's real. And I do feel we shout out to Chris Rager. We did a summon sign with the crew and Hogue and Brad and everyone, and we commend them for how hardcore that was. But moving this back to Halo, I'm with you. I think this is it feels trend chasey based on where the development was, where extraction was probably the hottest rage. Who knows if this thing exists anymore? I hope it doesn't, because in this climate, if Marathon cannot survive, and it is the most hardcore of the hardcore, and you got Arc Raiders, which is the definitive thing. And to me, you are the perfect test example. If they could get a person like Ebontis to play Arc Raiders consistently, shout out to DJ Oro, shout out to all the people who are not known for that genre that say, yo, I love it. Because there's enough for the casual player who does not like that mode to be invested. And I think that's the problem. So and the market's saturated. So look, with Halo, I hope they have moved on from this.
I don't know. Yeah, I was like, I don't know if it's got DNR right now on its on Halo's Yeah, it's on life support. Like that whole franchise for being like a pillar is.
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. And again, like I said, I never would hear about Mario being treated this way. You know what I'm saying? I would never hear about a core pillar franchise being, and all I want, like I said, is to them focus on the next one. Get your ducks in order, make a great release of Halo Campaign Evolve, and then focus on this. So focus on the next Halo game and hopefully land that plane. And that's all I got, man. I'm just a simple guy. I just want Halo to be good. And I'm tired of hearing reports of bad things happening.
Man, yeah, that studio's. Yeah. Any gaming studio, any developer tech-centric where it's typically going to have more of a male-dominated population of the employees is going to have some issues in it. But when you hear about any of the studios when it gets really shitty, it's just like, it's unfortunate because you feel like as a society, sometimes you're like, oh, we're a little bit better. And then occasionally you're reminded, nope, we're not. Just got to look outside a little bit and be like, no, we're not better yet. We haven't figured it out.
Yeah, no,
unfortunately.
Well said. We made it, brother. We made it. The marathon.
Yeah, you guys didn't know you were getting much of this face, did you? I am sorry, by the way, my monitor's to the left if I've been looking. And then in the first half of the show, I was watching my dogs. So if I look like you got the right side of my face for half the show, sorry about the video.
You're hilarious. Stop apologizing. We love you. Appreciate you, brother.
You do, bro. I have to win over this crew to ever be invited back, man.
Listen, man, you're a gamer and you're passionate about games, and I love different perspectives.
That's all I'll claim.
Love different perspectives, regardless. And tell the fine people where they can find Mr. Ebontis.
It is quite literally my name everywhere. EBONTIS, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Patreon, Blue Sky. What am I forgetting? I feel like I'm forgetting something. All of them. If there's a social media platform, I think I've got my name on there. So
no doubt.
That's me. I do mostly YouTube stuff. A lot of guides, typically.
A lot of reviews.
A lot of guides, reviews, tips.
The community out.
Yeah, especially on games that kind of fit the algorithm. And you never know, man. So if I want to cover a game, but it doesn't quite feel like I can cover it, believe me, I still probably played it. So
no doubt, man. Proud of you, man. First of all, shout out to you for holding me down during the time. Again, shout out to Matty. Obviously, he sent some love to him. He had some difficulties. He really wanted to be here. He mentioned you specifically.
Hotel internet sucks.
Oh, yeah. Hotel internet is terrible. But he mentioned you specifically. He's like, man, speaking to Ian, so I hope he can vote. I was like, yeah, he said he got me. And I appreciate it, man. And again, salute to you as far as, your journey and obviously us coming up together is destiny, content creators. And we haven't parted in a while. And it's really cool to do that with you. And hopefully,
if you can't tell, we've done this about 300 times. Yeah. We've done this talk before.
We've done this before. So all the little back and forths and the little isms that we do each other, we know how to tweak that little vibe.
I know Cog, and it's like he likes to poke the bear. He likes to twist the knife.
You know me.
Oh, yeah. You like to play the devil's advocate just to try and get a rise out of somebody.
Yes, because you're so cool and like chill and like even keel. So sometimes I gotta spice. I gotta get a spicy. When I get spicy, I'm lit.
Oh, I know. You get so excited when you finally get a rise out of me.
Hell yeah. It's because it's really happens. But salute to you. So what we do is in tradition here in the realm of the Duke before we head out.
Oh, we got to do a hashtag.
So I feel like pricing seems to be coming up. I don't know. I'm thinking different. Unless you got something. What you thinking? As a theme, something DD.
Hashtag is it enough?
Oh, I like that. Pause. We got that far in the show. On the socials. My man Ebontis, is it enough? DD is the hashtag. Again, make sure you follow me at Lord Cognito. Follow my boy at Ebontis on all the social media. Go check out his channel. Great walkthroughs, variety content, guides, the whole nine, and just a very soothing influence. A guy that doesn't, if you look at the fine information, he doesn't like talk down to you. You're like, okay, I didn't know where that was. Let me find that out in Crimson Dead. Like that's E. And that's why he's one of the best in terms of that type of content. And as well as reviewing games now. Boy, he's expanded his portfolio. So go check him out, brother.
Sorry that I get long-winded.
Yes, he's very long-winded, but we love him. He's got a lot to say.
I've read so many of those. So I will small aside, I've read a lot of the comments and I know it. Part of what my style is, since I don't script, which is a big issue for me. I probably should. My issue is trying to write a script is I like to have a conversation that feels natural.
Perfect.
So when I talk with you back and forth like this, we're just having a conversation.
That's
That's the same way I like to make the videos. Unfortunately, I ramble, which sucks. So
good,
sorry in
man.
advance, but thanks for watching.
Well, I'm very appreciative of your ramble during this segment because we need stuff to talk about. But that's all I got. Again, go check us out. And again, Is It Enough DD? And go support us, like I said, on your Patreons, on the YouTube, on the free feeds, all that good stuff. Leave the comments, leave some feedback. We really appreciate that. And on that note, we are out. Peace.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.